It's the last working day of the week. It's a Friday, and welcome to the AM News here on the AM Show. My name is Pakwisi Shandov. To our very first story, the Attorney General's office is pushing for a full-blown trial of Fix the Country convener Oliver Barker-Vormawor at the High Court. This request is contained in a document filed on his behalf by the Director of Public Prosecution, which details evidence compiled against the youth activist and presented to the court. This includes the testimony of 3 witnesses and reports, including one compiled by the National Security. The youth activist is accused of plotting to overthrow the government. Court correspondent, I beg your pardon, Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
The documents filed by the Director of Public Prosecution reveals that 3 persons will be called to testify against Mr. Barker-Vormawor should the matter be transmitted to the High Court. The state's first witness will be telling the court that on 11 February 2022, while using his Facebook account, he saw a post by the accused person which stated that, quote, "If this e-levy passes after this cake B, I will do the coup myself, useless army," end quote. He will continue that he was concerned about a statement from the accused person as he felt it had the potential to disturb the peace and stability of the country. The state's second witness will be a cyber intelligence investigator with the police service. He used to tell the court that during his routine monitoring of social media activities, he noticed the post by the accused person. He will add that his analysis of the post and comments attracted indicated that the accused had managed to convince a number of people about the need to usurp the executive powers of the republic through a violent overthrow of the government. He will point out that he was tasked by his superiors to continue monitoring the social media handle. He will also testify about other posts and the reactions they received as well. The state's third witness will be an officer stationed at the Ashaman police station. He will brief the court on how he received a complaint from the first witness, the arrest of the accused person, and how investigations revealed Mr. Barker-Vormawor was endeavoring to overthrow the executive powers of the republic by advocating for a violent overthrow. The state says it will be attaching additional documents, including caution statements taken from Mr. Barker-Vormawor, Facebook and Twitter posts of the accused person, intelligence reports from the cybercrime unit, and another from the National Security. The state prosecutors will on June 29, 2022 request that a district court assesses these pieces of evidence and commit the accused person to stand trial at the High Court.
Elsewhere, the minority in Parliament is demanding answers from Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta for releasing 25 million cedis to the National Cathedral Secretariat as additional seed money. The NDC MPs are questioning the basis for the release since no such allocation was made in the 2020 budget approved by Parliament. Addressing the media, minority spokesperson on Foreign Affairs Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa accused the Akufo-Addo administration of misplaced priorities given the state's inability to meet many essential financial needs such as allowances for NAPCO beneficiaries, NSS personnel, and school feeding program, amongst others.
This letter is exposing the lack of sincerity, the duplicity, and the deception. This letter is confirming today that contrary to the claims by the President, the National Cathedral project apparently is being heavily funded by taxpayer resources. We, as members of Parliament, have not approved all of these colossal sums of money that are being released to companies we are seeing for the first time. We are not even aware of the procurement processes that were followed for these companies and these consultants who are today at the receiving end of hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis. The other concern we have is that on the scale of priorities, looking at the current economic crisis that we all find ourselves, the President himself has admitted that we are facing an economic crisis of our lifetime. As we speak, NAPCO trainees have not been paid for more than 7 months. National service personnel are owed. School feeding caterers are agitating. They are on strike. They have not been paid. National health insurance is owed. The last time we looked at the arrears, Government owes national health insurance more than 2 billion Ghana cedis. Get fund is in arrears. District Assembly Common Fund is in arrears. We are here as members of parliament. The Common Fund has not been released. So, for a country that has all of these pressing challenges, for 3 years, the government has not been able to provide textbooks to basic schools. Capitation grant is in arrears. So if you have all of these challenges, obligations that you are not able to meet, and you are asking everybody to tighten their belts, to bear with you, that there is no money, how is it that you are releasing these fantastic sums?
Now, the June 3 disaster is equivalent to what is known in flood research as the 10-year return period. This means that there is always the possibility that it may reoccur any time in a 10-year period, with the signs already experienced in Accra. Head of Settlement Studies at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Divine Ahaji, says though government structural measures are good, social interventions are very crucial.
Looking at what is happening currently, it's better we begin to focus our attention on how to prepare in case of emergency, on the terms of preparation, response, recovery, and mitigation, so that we should be able to focus on how, if such a situation happens, we're going to evacuate the people, where we are going to send them to, what will be the community action and network, what contact numbers are available for people to call, if there's the need for communities to do rehearsal on how they are going to evacuate and where they are going to evacuate to. These are issues that I think we have normally not focused attention on. So my suggestion is that looking at what has happened in the recent weeks, we shouldn't wait and have a catastrophe before we begin to be thinking about what to do. And where is a probability, it may happen or it may not happen. But even if it doesn't happen, you have still used the occasion to do capacity building in terms of preparing the minds of the people that this is the nature of the flood situation in Ghana, and there's the likelihood that we can always have the June 3rd situation repeating. And so everybody should be on board so that we all begin to have a strong community engagement where we all put our mind to what we can do collectively to be able to avoid in terms of the risk and the impact in terms of mitigating.
Now, workers at public universities across Ghana have announced their detachment from the National Union, the Teachers and Educational Workers Union of the Trades Unions Congress. The association, now formerly known as the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana, says it has run out of patience with the lackadaisical and irresponsible attitude of the national leadership of Tewu Lab FM's Bright Emmanuel Kweku has more in this report.
Workers in various public universities across the country converged at the KNUST campus to officially outdoor the new association. Leadership of the new national umbrella says it was unhappy with how their erstwhile national executives of Tewu TUC treated petitions brought before them. Members say they are bearing the brunt of the high cost of living as the leadership of Tewu TUC has failed to negotiate for renewal of its conditions of service after expiration in 2008, among others. Suleimana Abdurrahman is the chairman of Tewu GH.
Everyone you see behind me or with me here are the executive of all the public universities in Ghana. So this decision that we have taken, Legon executives are part, UCC executives are part, KNUST, UEW, UMAT, UHAS, UDS, and all the other universities, including Amstec and other very new universities. We want to state categorically that we are no longer under the umbrella of Tewu TUC GH, Tewu National. We want to hold the fort by ourselves so that when we negotiate with the government, part of what we have negotiated will not be taken away as they have done in our recent negotiations, which is, allowances that was negotiated for an MOU signed with Federal Sanitary Commission with government. By the end of the day, the National Union went behind us, and these allowances was cut off.
The association said it is claiming all its assets and liabilities of TEWU of TUCGH in the respective public universities. Charles Arthur is the interim chairman for TEWU GHK and USC Local.
The new union takes asset and liability of the old union because we are in the local, we are dealing with the local matter. And let me take this opportunity to explain that the structure of TEWU is like this. We have the national officers, we have the regional officers, we have the district officers, then we have the local health officers. What we are talking about is the local health officers and not the entire TEWU, where there will be confusion. So this one, there's no ambiguity of what we have done. So if we have any asset here in KNUSC, it is ours. It is ours. When we have other assets in Accra, that belongs to the entire TEWU as a body, all of us. It belongs to them. But we are talking about the assets in the various locality. It's what we are saying, that we are taking them, and if we also liability, we have also taken it, because the two goes together.
We are here to present a document to the Vice Chancellor.
Presenting a letter to the management of KNUST to formally announce its presence on campus, the association said it will work harmoniously with the management at the various universities. For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reporting.
Still in education, some teachers in basic schools in the central region are advocating free supply of sanitary pads to girls at the basic level. The teachers say many girls at the basic level continue to absent themselves from school and in some cases are forced to give sex in exchange for sanitary pads. The situation, they say, is affecting the educational outcomes of girls, especially those in the rural areas. The teachers made the appeal as part of the Central Regional Minister's menstrual hygiene advocacy campaign in selected communities in the central region. There's more in this report by Richard Kwejunyako.
The campaign by the Central Regional Minister is geared towards distributing 7,000 sanitary pads, 2 to each of the 35,000 young girls, as well as to educate them on their menstrual health, personal hygiene, and reproductive health issues. The minister took her campaign to Abradunkwao, Sword Pond, Isacho, Gomwapotan, and Senya Breku. The girl child coordinator at Abra Sebu Kwamankese called for the taxes to be removed on sanitary pads as the pads have become very expensive for the girls to buy. She says the situation is affecting the educational outcomes of girls at the basic level in the central region.
There's one peculiar problem associated with them, and that is girls absenting themselves from school when they are menstruating because they cannot get sanitary pads. Others come to school and then they mistakenly stain themselves, and if the teachers are not able to provide them with a sanitary pad to take care of it, they have to go home. Meaning when they go home, they are not coming back. That is the end of it. And they will stay in the house till they are done with it, whether it's 5 days or 3 days, the number of days they are done with it before they come to school. And this is a problem because they can't be absenting themselves from school almost every month just because of menstruation. It should be a natural thing, a normal thing. But here's the case, because of menstruation, something as normal and as natural as that, they would have to stay out of school. And most of our villages too, because of this, and then the situation of their families, they have to, some girls have resorted to depending on men, and we know the consequences, teenage pregnancies and all that. We want to avoid that. So my appeal on behalf of the whole directorate, AAK directorate, I would appeal that if the taxes on the sanitary pads will be taken off, we'll be very much grateful. Better still, if the students can be given these sanitary pads for free, it will be very appreciated, because this is one major thing that is affecting the girls in this district.
Speaking on the campaign, Central Regional Minister Justina Marigodasan indicated she will do more in ensuring nothing stands in the way of girls in the region in their quest to be educated.
It's quite unfortunate to hear that sometimes when these young girls want to do these normal things that they are supposed to do, need to stay off the classroom because some don't have the money to go and buy the pad themselves. Some are using other things to really take care of their flows that are coming, and it's quite worrying. Being a woman myself, I thought it's wise that we can also do something to support them, because one of the things that I heard and it moved me was that a particular girl, because they didn't have money to buy a sanitary pad, a gentleman had to give her one, and in an attempt slept with her.
She says her move is not a one-off thing and detailed plans of the Regional Coordinating Council.
What we are trying to do at the Regional Coordinating Council is to prepare the reusable ones, so that next month when we are coming around, we'll come with the reusable ones. By then, these disposable ones would have finished, and then we'll place them with the reusable ones, at least 2 of them, and then they will be comfortable to stay in school. We want to really encourage girls' enrollment and the retention of girls in school.
The Regional Minister's campaign is intended to address the challenges, discrimination, myths, taboos, and other injustices against girls and women. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejonya-Akon, Cape Coast.
No, hold on, there's no story. Now, every year, thousands of people suffer the impacts of floods in the northern parts of the country, usually due to torrential rains coupled with the spillage of the Bagre Dam in neighboring Burkina Faso. A lot of families become displaced but get very little, with little to no help at all from government agencies and aid organizations to help prepare for the eventuality of such disasters. This year, the Ghana Red Cross Society is mobilizing resources towards helping families who may get displaced this year to build back their homes. Correspondent Albert Sori has more in the following report.
In the year 2019, thousands of people were rendered homeless after torrential rains and accompanying floods destroyed their homes in some parts of the Upper East region. At least 28 people were reported dead in the disaster. Those affected were generally people who lived in the rural poor communities where the homes are built mainly from mud or clay. Humanitarian organizations like the Ghana Red Cross Society had to step in to provide tents to temporarily shelter some of the homeless. In the year 2020, the Ghana Red Cross Society, with funding support from the Swiss Red Cross, completed and handed over a total of 202 low-cost houses to families in the Upper East region that were rendered homeless after the 2019 floods. This year, the Ghana Red Cross Society wants to prepare towards building more of these homes for families that may get displaced if there are floods. The society, therefore, organized a humanitarian forum to rally the support of individuals and organizations for the cause. Paul Woma is the Upper East Regional Manager of the Ghana Red Cross Society.
Those houses that we have built in partnership with the Department of Rural Housing, those houses are still resilient and they are resisting the torrential rains in the region. So we think that with this idea, we would do more to have more resilient houses in our communities, so that anytime it is a rainy season, we don't sleep and panic that some houses will fall and they will rush to the Red Cross office or the NADMO office seeking for support.
He says the target is to construct about 1,000 more of these homes by the year 2024, starting with what can be done with the funds that will be raised this year.
We are calling on all MPs in the region, all DCEs and district assemblies in the region, the business people in the region, to listen and give an ear to this humanitarian appeal from the Ghana Red Cross Society to support the vulnerable. We are not calling for mansions, we are calling for basic housing for the vulnerable. And 1,000 houses is not a common matter. And if we don't all come together to throw money into a common bowl, one person cannot do it.
Supporting the humanitarian forum were Tere, a local NGO working to promote the inclusion of the vulnerable in society, who are also bringing on board the senior expertise service in Germany to try and mobilize support abroad for the project.
The SES is a foundation that is supported by the German economy for international cooperation. So I think the forum is a kickoff for the actual project that we are designing and that we are trying to develop. The project is a process that we are going to be involved in. So after this forum, we will now do the planning and the structuring for project applications, because we want to tap into different funding programs that we will identify, and that will bring money to the project so that the actual houses can really be built.
Attending the humanitarian forum were chiefs and traditional rulers, civil society organizations, and government agencies including NADMO, who all pledged their support for the cause. Upper East Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu pledged his support and called on all organizations and individuals who can support the project to come on board.
And don't think that you are in a nice house and therefore you cannot be bothered. Let us help. The pennies, the cities, when we put them together and we cry out, then people will come and help us with that small money that we have, so that we're able to provide these houses for the vulnerable.
Reporting for Joy News, Albert Sori, Bolgatanga.
That'll be all. Do have a pleasant weekend. The show continues with Benjamin and Benis. My name is Pakwisi Shandov.
Well, here we are doing the do as usual, and we're about to dig into the newspapers, let you know what they're saying. But this day is momentous. At a point in time, we'll be giving you some scope on what to expect as far as the weather patterns this week are concerned. And it has to do with, of course, what happened on this day so many years back, 2015, among others. This day is critical in our history as a country. We'll be getting into that, and we'll do all of that together with Samuel Kojo Brace, who joins the conversation. Have you brought your horn of oil this morning?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because I didn't want to bless you today.
Oh.
Yeah. But that's why I almost knocked you down.
Bonnie Bay. You all run kitty then run kata from here.
Man, it's too early in the morning.
It's too morning in the early. But you know, we're going to do something this morning. Opana say you go UCC.
Oh no.
So they can't sing UCC.
No. I don't have a voice to sing. But I'll try. I can try.
Try.
I can try.
Without trying, you lose 100%. So what's the tune? Should I give you the tune or something?
You see, there's a place that I love so much. I would want to start from there. Yeah.
Okay.
It says that.
Meto. Yo to.
But me kaito nte kaito.
Ayo.
That's a combination of kind and a to.
So
it says that UCC. UCC, therefore rush to your call. UCC, to the call. Let us rise to our call. Let us rise where it has no best lumen. But listen to this one. It says that. Let me get this one. UCC, we are the kindest of them all, including Legon and Tech. UCC, we are the brainchild of Nkrumah. We train, we mold, and live by his vision to impact all virtue, that Ghana may be strengthened. UCC, therefore rise to your call. UCC, UCC. To the call, let us rise to our call. Let us rise where it has no best lumen.
I'm sure you're as curious as I am. What did go on? Okay, let's do this. Who wrote your school's anthem?
I tell you.
Who penned it?
The name has escaped me a little. But the fact is that we, UCC, we train all of you.
You train all of us?
Yes. We mold to ensure that Ghana is strengthened. So all your fantastic lecturers, all the fantastic resources that you read from, look, you all have to understand and accept the fact that it is we, the university planned after the heart of Nkrumah and his vision. We are the ones who make it happen for you.
Not Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
All
right, guys,
about that.
You know what? Because of what he's done, I'm throwing an anthem challenge to you this morning.
Yes.
We'll call UGA, University of Ghana.
Please no, started on a good note.
Huh?
So Oko University of Cape Coast, the only university under Christ control, the only university of competitive choice, UCCR. Send in your anthem.
Integri Posidamus. And ours was penned by Emeritus Professor Nketia.
Oh, okay.
J.H. Kwabena Nketia. So just do the... Let's do this. No. Give me the beat. Give me the beat.
Which beat?
Oh.
Okay.
Offbeat. Wait. 3, 2, 1. Hail University of Ghana, the nation's hope and glory, the place that bears the star of peace that bids us all to do our best. Let the great tower of learning inspire both young and old. May we proceed in unity to uphold the public cause. Arise, arise, O Legon, defend the cause of freedom. Proceed in truth and integrity to make our nation proud. Arise, arise, O Legon, defend the cause of freedom. Proceed in truth and integrity to make our nation proud. Second verse, Tobo. We ask for strength and wisdom as we climb the hill of learning. May we excel in whatever we do as we prepare to face the world with a mind ready at all times and a conscience quick to feel. Note the last one. May we proceed in unity to uphold the public cause. Our leaders should listen to this song, especially those who are in Legon. Arise, arise, O Legon, defend the cause of freedom. Proceed in truth and integrity to make our nation proud. Arise, arise, O Legon.
Onim yawaye. The only me.
And yawade.
Me.
Say yawade.
Da.
I be the bee.
I better not have it.
Akoko Sacha Kroma.
Oh,
University of Cape Coast. Shouts to all of you who attended the University of Ghana. And big shouts to Catherine Gordon, who's making me look resplendent this morning. I must say that your outfit is also...
he's called Igma. He's at Dansoman. Akoko Photo area. Solid guy. But on him, let me say a blessed good morning to everyone who attended in Ghana, in West Africa, in Africa, the best university. University of...
Are you still on this point?
To the professors, to the lecturers. I mean, you made the right choice to go to the best school. Yeah.
I nearly said something. The Daily Graphic newspaper this morning. Who maintains our medians? It's right there. Who maintains our medians?
Yeah.
When you have those. So... It has observed, the Daily Graphic has observed with concern that overgrown grass at the central reservation, medians, or most of the highways, you see when you're going those middle stretches, and other roads within the Greater Accra metropolitan area. The grass meant to be well maintained as part of efforts to beautify the landscape has become an eyesore on most of the dual carriage roads, and some have become a distraction and pose a danger to drivers. The onset of the rains has worsened the situation as they have come with their attendant fast growth of grass and weeds. So we say we want to beautify, but you see, as is known of us, we start something, we don't continue well, and then we need here. So now the grass, and I've seen this on so many different stretches, so many different parts of our country. Question is, Maba, Minieba, why are we like this?
The other time, they took me behind, I think the, when you're on the Nungwa Road, I think there's an army school there. behind it, the lane is just all grown.
The
driver was saying, but these people, why have they left this thing to grow like this? And
so especially as it's raining, conducive environment for vermin, rodents, snakes, and all of that. So someone passing through could also get bitten, and now who calls them? Failed system.
And this situation is similar in Takrady. Yeah.
No, it's not just in Accra. No, but if this is going on in Accra, what do you expect in other parts?
The newly constructed N1 highway, I mean, from end to end, we left a median where we allowed grasses to grow. I tell you what, it can overgrow to the extent that radio stations would have to call on the authorities for several days before. When we have the grounds, parks and gardens, also department of the assemblies, and you have to maintain this to make the city look beautiful. Yet we live.
Asemo, bring back automatic adjustment formula for utility tariffs. That's according to a coalition. I say right now the utilities, we joke utiate. That story is on page 16. Resolving deadlocks in Parliament. Dr. Akwete proposes casting vote for Speaker. And that is also on page 16. Sir John's assets frozen. Office of Special Prosecutor moves to freeze those overseas. Let me take a quick look at this story, and I want your thoughts on it, Kojo. So the Office of the Special Prosecutor has frozen the assets of former Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Kwadwo Osuefriye, popularly known as Sir John, as it continues investigations into allegations of unlawful acquisition of state lands. The action affects all assets mentioned in the will and final testament of Sir John. So right now, freezy. Yesterday, Kwesi Deborah was talking about some apps that people use to save battery power. The freezer app. The OSP has also gone for a free.
Sure.
I say your testament, freezy. But even as we talk about this, there's also the matter of the Office of the Special Prosecutor not having his board constituted. So the different agencies, Shraj and others that have to give representatives, have provided them.
Yes.
But establishment, the executive, has not ensured that the board is constituted. And without the board, some actions that the OSP must take cannot be taken. Cannot be taken. So what is your thinking on these two matters?
No, I think it's... I don't know why till today the board has not been constituted.
9 months plus all.
When you know the vital function the board plays in the functioning of the OSP. I don't know why the government or the president has not been able to constitute the board. I cannot tell, because, like you said earlier, all the bodies that have to make representations have made it.
They've done that.
So what is happening? Why don't we still have the board? And it makes people really come to the conclusion that we are not committed to making the OSP function.
And maybe fighting corruption the way we ought to. Because, if you look on the back of what happened and how Martin Amidu left that position, you would have thought that a lot more would have been done. And if you listen to His Excellency the President's rhetoric when Kisie Jabing was taking office, the assurances and the commitment and everything, it appears we're just repeating the cycle of the same problems that Martin Amidu faced are the same ones that Kisie Jabing is facing. So where lies our commitment to the fight against corruption?
I think this one has even
is a mere talk.
This one has even gone a step further, because Martin Amidu was facing problem with release of funds and all the other things.
Yes.
But he...
Kisie Jabing is facing...
But he even had a board. Kisie Jabing does not have a board.
He doesn't even have a board.
Yes. So, I don't know. The president would have to tell us why 9 months on the board has not been constituted. Why is it so? Because really, you cannot understand why it is so for Kisie Jabing.
And the special prosecutor is also moving to freeze those overseas as well. So not just in Ghana. But on the back page, when it comes to sports, Gideon Mensah rejected Stone, now defensive pillar. That story there. Let's get into other papers. Are you starting with the Ghanaian Times?
Let me do the Ghanaian Times. But someone just said that he says, Mr. Brace, the man, they murder you. Okay.
Oh yeah. You don't say I murder you.
No.
Someone actually sent a way on the Facebook. I say, hail UG.
No. The only thing is that you have a good voice. I don't have a good voice. You should have paired with someone who has a good voice. Then
I should have paired with Bernice. They would have seen.
Exactly.
She would have sung the GIJ.
Sure. Well, let's do the Ghanaian Times. On page 16, it says fetish priest, 35, kills wife, daughter for gods. Court finds him guilty in prison for life. The Bolgatanga High Court has sentenced Mbawona Tendana, 35, a traditional spiritualist and resident of Kulpelega in the Talensi district of Upper East region, to life imprisonment for killing his wife and daughter. The convict was taken through a marathon 3-year trial before the court caged him for butchering his wife and sacrificing the 2-year-old daughter to his gods. The convict, charged with 2 counts of intention to commit murder and murder, pleaded not guilty, and the court, presided over by Justice Charles A.J. Wilson, consequently convinced him after a full-scale trial.
Charlie, this is sad. He sacrificed them to his gods.
Yeah. That's what he said. I mean, that's what the story says. Interesting, yeah. The fact of the
Charlie,
case...
that gives me the chill.
The fact of the case as presented by Chief State Attorney George Bodo were that the deceased, Talata Abigail Krug, age 25, and her daughter, Mbawona Tendana, age 2, were also wife and daughter of the convict. The convict, prosecution said, claimed the wife and daughter were witches and used axes, other machetes, and subjected them to torture. He consequently killed them in his Kupeklaga residence on June 27, 2019 at about 4:30 p.m. Prosecution added. Charlie, he took matters into his own hands. Well,
and you see, this points to another very problematic area. You know, over the last few years, especially, and it's also because of social media and You remember the number of people? One very old woman, somewhere up north. You know, in areas like Kukuo, Gambaga, and others, these witch camps and other belief systems and all of that. I remember, I mean, it was a very elderly woman flogged to, forget even the flogging of, I'm not saying it's not, I mean, it's a human rights breach, the recent one with the sex thing. But all these other ones, we suspect the person is a witch, and you know, the circumstances are that oftentimes the people are put in such a corner that they must either confess or die or be flogged to death. So they accept. And then people say, the person is a witch or a wizard. And I mean,
our own Jojo Kobina has done a story.
Yes, I know, time and again.
And then yesterday when we were playing the video, I couldn't stand it. That they tie ropes around their necks and try, you know, they are strangled just so you could say that I'm a witch. Some of them, they don't even know it, but because of their torture, they have to admit to it. And I think we've spoken too much about it, but less action have been taken in ensuring that the right things are done. I think we need to move on from the rhetorics to really get to ensure that people have the freedom that they desire. Because really,
and this is why
the things we make them to go through is just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
This is why I feel we have a broken system, because we've had these witch camps and the whole rhetoric around them for decades. But mind you, some people don't even get the other side of the witch camps. So here is the reality. In some instances, okay, we talk about the fact that, I mean, we're probably the only country, some time back I was checking, with such camps. But the other side of it, even as we condemn those, are that sometimes that is the only safe haven for these people.
For them.
In other words, they are hounded by family, friends, the community, and so this is the only place where they can get some respite. But our laws are simply not working. If people are dealt with, do you remember female genital mutilation? At first we were calling it female circumcision. And then we saw all the negatives. We branded the female genital mutilation. And together with Tokoshi, you know, some of the things, the enslavement and the rest, the sort of way we went after it. I mean, how often do you hear of that nowadays? But we've not gone after witchcraft and branding people witches and all of that.
But good
that way.
That lawyer Sosu,
Francis Xavier Sosu,
yes, and another MP are drafting a private member's bill. So they were even up north to get more about their living standard. So let's see how this particular bill will go. I'm sure it could probably be a game changer.
And people should know, I just want to add, people should know you cannot legally, if you were to go to court and they will ask you, what's your proof that this person is a witch? What are you going to do?
What would you say?
You have no proof, legally, no grounding.
There's a sad story on page 17. I think it's a troubling one that we all need to help end. More than 800 children were diagnosed with diabetes in 2021 at 3 major teaching hospitals in the country, Kolebu, Komfo-Anokye, and Cape Coast. Diabetes occurs when a person either does not make enough insulin or cannot use his or her own insulin well. The acting program manager, non-communicable diseases, Dr. Ifwa Kome, who revealed this in an interview, expressed worry that the figure would escalate when her outfit receives the overall national statistics of the ailment. It means the 800 are just from 3 hospitals. It will be serious there. So that's the story there. But of interest to me is that Parliament is to probe death of woman in ambulance. Now, Parliament has constituted a 6-member bipartisan ad hoc committee to investigate circumstances surrounding the death of the late Augustina Awatri, who died in an ambulance when she was being transported from the Holy Child Catholic Hospital at Fijai in the Western region to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra on January 4, 2022. This story is one that when you hear all the details, you cannot add 1 + 1 to get 2, really. So it's good they've set up a committee to look into it.
Let's get into some other stories right here. I'll look at the Daily Guide newspaper. And OSP freezes Sir John's assets. AG files coup mongers trial papers pictured there. Oliver Mause Bakavomawo. There's also, I ordered flogging. There's some clarity now. The WANA.
Yes.
I ordered the flogging. And I feel on the back of this admission, the law should just take its course.
Yesterday, the crimes officer said that they had met with him and they didn't have that impression. So let's see how it goes. But once that has come in, it brings a different twist to the story. I don't
His
know.
admission that he actually ordered it. Because I right from the outset, I was struggling to see how without his authorization or permission, it would have been carried out on his very compound in the palace. But this makes for, well, at least there's been an admission. We'll leave the law courts to do their work and not prejudice anything. Central Region MPP votes Saturday. You remember they couldn't have their vote as planned. So all the others went to the polls and they were left out.
I have a friend there, anyway.
You have a friend there?
Yes.
Is he contesting?
Yes. He's the current regional secretary, Techi Menson. I don't know, but I think he's done a good job. But
I think I should know this.
Techi Menson, he's quite vocal. So I guess the delegate would assess him and what he's done,
right,
and make the right decision.
Well, God be with all of them. Pictured here, though, Robert Kutin Jr., who is also
the regional chairman.
Exactly.
And he's
gunning for
running.
Yeah. There's also state funeral for Hajia Ramatu. Tomorrow, former second lady. A state funeral is scheduled for the late former second lady, Hajia Ramatu Aliu Mahama, at the forecourt of the State House tomorrow at 10 a.m. Once more, our hearts go out to the family. On the entertainment page, Jim Ike clears air on conversion. Now, a report on Wednesday emerged that the actor had embraced the Islamic faith. Some Muslims had, in reaction, welcomed him to their religion, according to Daily Post. By reacting, Jim Ike, in a video on his Instagram page, dismissed the report, saying he had no plans of ever converting to Islam. But I feel like, listen, you want to be Christian, you want to be Muslim, do what makes you, happy. And serve God. You remember Muhammad Ali, formerly Cassius Clay?
Yes.
Converting. Same with Mike Tyson.
Has he converted?
Yeah, he converted at a point.
Okay.
And we also have our own Black Stars players. At least I know Andre.
Andre and Jordan.
Both of them.
They've been Muslims from infancy. You know their dad.
Yeah.
But you didn't give me the interesting one from US.
Oh, which one is
the
that?
most popular news?
Oh, Johnny Depp and
yes.
2 million versus 15 million.
Yes, Amber Heard, Charlie. The woman he go get himself in trouble.
Amber Heard has heard what he
has here.
Yes. Every time we the men get the flack, even the good ones, they'll say, oh, we dear. Now we are seeing say, I shut down your ways, sir. But now people.
Yeah. So wife.
I mean, doing number 2 on his bed and all kinds of things that came up. So we cannot say that Johnny Depp himself is whistle clean, but even if you look at the
evidence,
the ruling or the verdict, in this case, you see, it becomes problematic because listening to experts on Davo, where sometimes a male is accused, then the person reverses everything and tries to get the blame rather on the woman. There is that psychologically, and lawyers have used it in court time and again. Usually, justices of the court may be a bit unwilling to go along those lines. But when a jury, which is what happened in this instance, is the one to, deliver the ultimate, that is where it becomes problematic. And they believed Johnny Depp over Amber Heard.
And you know, if you had listened to the trial and all the majority of the evidences that were, brought to the trial, even
it
before
was clear Amber was not being honest.
Before the jury came out,
right.
Majority of people believe that Johnny Depp was rather the victim and not the abuser.
Typical example, the image where she was supposed to have been smacked and had bruises. I mean, people were even looking at the fact that this man is right-handed. If he had hit you, likely to the left end of your face and all of that. But she had done it on the other end. And so many things that, I mean, when I watched, I just felt.
So the jury believed that, look, everything we've heard.
But that also brings up a point.
Which one?
Sometimes because, and I'm not saying, I am as much a feminist, I fight for women whenever I can, at work, wherever, at school. I have a history. But I feel that sometimes too, because some women know men seem to have that, once you say, the person is doing this to me, doing that to me, you get the support, the sympathy. So some of them go down this road, which is why it is important what has happened with Amber Heard, because then some would also realize it's not clean sweep Ignatius here, and you have to be careful. And if it is, then of course that man ought to be dealt with. But when you yourself are, they say if you come to equity, you must come with clean hands, and your hands are sullied, muddy, dirty, and if you're coming to accuse someone else.
If you followed the trial, the court of public opinion, Johnny had won there, and it was only a matter of the jury going along with them. And in fact,
maybe to wrap. Now people are saying that people are calling for her to be kicked off Aquaman 2.
Yeah. I mean that
people are wondering whether anyone else will date her. That one, it's not her business. People are wondering whether she'll get any future movie roles.
Yeah. Yes,
people are calling for all kinds of things.
I listened to analysts who said that her career is done, but God knows best. So let's see.
Patapaa Shan's wife, we all know they are not in the best of places. And Ghana loses out on BET Awards nominations. That's it for the Daily Guide.
Well, the Accra Times, it says Gbabin calls for public debate to find workable solutions to issues facing Ghana's democracy. Rent bill to hit Parliament to help address challenges facing the rental housing industry. Be proud of your son and father, Speaker Bagwin tells in Debugri's family. And Charles Bisu, sure to win MPP General Secretary race, tasked delegate to elect capable executives for the 2024 elections.
All right, let's do these quickly. I'm just going to go through the headlines. I will bridge gap between government and grassroots, Asabi says so. You start engagement with CSOs, AGI, others begin Monday. Inefficiencies, inadequate government support causing utility tariff hikes. That's according to a CSO. I'm looking at the Finder newspaper. After losing $190 million grant over cancelled PDS contract, $316 million MCC meter projects completed to provide more reliable, affordable electricity. That's it for the Finder newspaper.
Well, Republic Press. Indian goes wild. It describes Republic Press as mischievous parrot as he demands 1 million.
Oh yeah, he's demanding 1 million from them.
Yeah.
I say more 1 million.
Now, he's demanding a whopping 1 million as damages for publishers from publishers of the 16-page newspaper, insisting that the newspaper acted as, in quote, mischievous parrot with its publication without checking the fact or accuracy of the allegation originating from the USA. Vote buying by NDC and MPP threatening minority political parties. That's according to Kofi Akpalu. Traditional spiritualist sentenced to death for killing his wife and daughter. We dealt with that story earlier. Police grabbed 25 in Wa over sex tape whipping route.
All right. Ghanaian publisher now, Baumia to local authorities, innovate, collaborate to develop. There's also Ursula Owusu Ekufu's Girls in ICT Initiative, 12-year-old crowned Ahafo winner. Asabi's 7-point plan, and there's also Privileges Committee mad at Adwasafo and 2 others. Has Adwasafo got the way now, the summons now?
Well, we don't know.
You know, initially when she spoke to Blessed Soga, she said she wasn't aware of it. I am thinking by now she would have.
No, but when she spoke, Parker went to Parliament and spoke to the first Deputy Speaker, Joe Sewus, who is the chairman of that committee, and he said, well, if she says she has not had it, they will move on to the next step and they will see. I think they believe because he was
right. And I recall that was his rhetoric.
Yes. So
then we'll proceed.
Yes, sure. So let's see. It will be interesting. You know, all the the sitting for the 3 MPs couldn't come off because all of them asked for excuse. So let's see how that one.
So I guess the Privileges Committee the committee will move on with its.
We are in Ghana.
Huh?
We don't say committee.
I would usually say committee, but you know when you're talking about Adjo Asafo, I might as well the committee will.
You're too mischievous, man.
Huh?
Okay, so the committee will come to party and ensure that the right things are done.
The committee will ensure that the party, the BNFT. Dr. Edith Dankwa honored at the 6th CEO Excellence Awards. Fitch ranks Ghana most attractive West African trade and investment destination. ECD. Yeah, ECD will diversify digital payment. Solid one,
Once you mentioned Dr. Edith Dankwa being honored, let's also say good morning to our own boss, Ken Ansa,
Oh, yeah. CEO of the year, media. With a focus on radio.
Radio category.
Yeah, man.
So kudos to him. He's a solid man. But he doesn't like the hype, so sometimes we keep it on the go. But that man is a solid man. Too solid, I tell you. Too solid.
So I'll end with this. Economy in shambles and in need of restructuring. That's according to Dr. Ishmael Yamson.
All right, so let's end with it.
Okay.
But before we go, I have two people.
In some maybe 20 seconds.
Exactly. Patrick Cosmos Ampon is my brother. He's at Santa Maria. He's celebrating his birthday today. So good morning to him. He's a very, very good boy. Keep being good,
And you are not. Which hall were you in UCC?
Oh, I'm an Ogwa Holler. Premier.
I was in Commonwealth Hall. I'm an old vandal.
Okay. Anyway.
On that note, we wrap. What's it name?
Isaac Ababi of GRA. He says he's watching. Today is his birthday as well.
Isaac Ababi.
Yes.
A very happy birthday to you. Up next, we serve you sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Stay. Welcome back on the AM show. And on that note, let me also welcome aboard Bernice Abubedu Lanta, introducing our Queen Bee.
Mischief. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining the AM show. We're grateful that you could make time to watch us. So, Benjamin, without doing much, would introduce our next conversation. We did the review with Brace. But this is a very important conversation because it has to do with dealing with corruption. And we know what it costs us every time. Yeah. We do this yearly analysis.
It's a ritual, right?
Yes.
We're set to lose between $3 and $7 billion.
Yes.
Do you know what that could do for us?
Exactly. So it's a big problem. Well, this government created the Office of the Special Prosecutor. There were people who had other ideas. They felt, well, this can be done by the Attorney General. There are other agencies where you
It's a duplication of duty.
But government thought, well, let's do it. And so we had Martin Amidu, who, we all know how it ended with him. And then there had to be a replacement. So the president appointed Mr. Lawyer Kisia Jabing. 9 months on, there's no board. There's no board.
Which also means a lot of the work he must do can't be done.
All right. So let's just bring to you what this really means. The Office of the Special Prosecutor not having a board and how it impacts and the work that he has to do. So we've got that captured for you. No board at OSP. Now, the governing body of the office is a board consisting of the Special Prosecutor, the Deputy Special Prosecutor, one representative of the Audit Service not below the rank of a director nominated by the Auditor General, one representative of the Ghana Police Service not below the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police nominated by the Inspector General of Police, one representative of the Economic and Organized Crime Office not below the rank of a director nominated by the Executive Director, One representative of the Financial Intelligence Center, not below the rank of a director, nominated by the Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Intelligence Center. One representative of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, not below the rank of director, nominated by the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. Now, one person with a background in intelligence and not below the rank of a director, nominated by the minister responsible for national security, and one other person who is a female representing the anti-corruption civil society organizations. Then we have the members of the board shall elect a person other than the special prosecutor or deputy special prosecutor from among their number as chairperson of the board. And we know that that one representative during the former administration of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the previous board was led by Linda Furikwafo, and she was that one female representative from the Anti-Corruption Agency. So the President shall appoint the members of the board in accordance with Article 70 of the Constitution. The nominated institutions shall, in making nominations under paragraph C, D, E, G, H, and all that I've mentioned earlier, have regard to expertise in corruption matters, high moral character and proven integrity, and non-partisanship is very important. So here's why it's important. So someone says, okay, they've not had a board for 9 months, so what? This is the answer to the so what question. The board shall formulate policies necessary for the achievement of the objective of the office or object of the office, ensure the proper and effective performance of the functions of the office, advise the special prosecutor on the recruitment and selection of the secretary and other senior staff of the office. The board will also develop and monitor implementation of a code of conduct for staff at the office, facilitate cooperation between the office and relevant national investigative bodies to ensure the proper and effective performance of the functions of the office, and advise the special prosecutor on any policy matters that may be referred to the board by the special prosecutor. The board shall not interfere in the day-to-day functions of the office. So there you have it, Benjamin. This is the role of the board. 9 months on, the special prosecutor does not have a board to work with. So you would ask, I mean, we've seen a couple of things happening. That MCE who was alleged to have engaged in some vote buying.
I think it was drubbing.
Yes, the OSP was looking into that. We know the OSP has released some statements regarding Sir John, for example, and other matters that have arisen. You'd want to ask yourself, what more could he have done if he had a functioning board? But we're going to be having a conversation on this. And we've got Adam Senanu, he's with the Citizen Movement Against Corruption. And we will be hearing his thoughts on this rather disturbing issue. And let me start by finding out from you, what signal does the absence of this board give you in our fight against corruption? What signal does it send to you that 9 months on, we still do not have a functioning board?
Well, thank you and good morning. It's an absolute non-commitment by those who matter most in ensuring that this campaign is a robust one and that can deliver results. We all know that boards, especially as you read it, and by the way, let me commend you for doing such a good job of the advocacy that gets people to understand why these things are critical. The board is responsible for policy. Policy includes having medium to long-term plans. So the fact that over the next year and 2 years, these are the kind of things we want to achieve. These are the kind of equipment, the logistics that ought to be in place, the kind of expertise among senior staff that we need to recruit. Once you don't have a board in place, you don't have the technical expertise, you're not likely to get approval for the kind of budgets that allow heavy investment because there's likely to be a cap on what you can do by yourself. It has serious implications on the speed with which the Special Prosecutor's Office can deliver on its mandate. And that office is becoming even much more relevant given the number of incidents that have come up and the public has raised their voices, and there's an interest being taken on. For those cases to be investigated in the short term and for the special prosecutor to come back with feedback to update the public and therefore to move the process forward to, let's say, prosecution and what have you, the board ought to be in place. 9 months is too many months gone quiet, especially when we know that the various agencies have submitted some name already.
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Yes, so especially when we know that the various agencies listed, whether it's the FIC, whether it's TRAD, whether it's CSOs, we have all put together the nominees we have and sent it long ago. So it's a bit puzzling. I should even say a bit puzzling, grossly so, that with a document in front of the presidency on this matter, no traction has been experienced. And it is important that all of us begin to raise the red flags and say, this is an indirect way by which one can cripple the effectiveness of that office, and we ought to try and address this as quickly as possible.
We've been trying to find out from the presidency why the delay, even though the names have been submitted. We haven't gotten a response yet. But let me find out from you, looking at the concerns raised by the former special prosecutor, Martin Amidu, on alleged interference of his work by the president, and looking at what we have on our table now, what would you suggest we do? Is the office still relevant to you? And for those who said, look, there are other agencies that can perform the functions of the special prosecutor, and we don't need to duplicate what we already have, do you feel they are justified by what happened with Martin Amidu and what we are seeing currently with the delay in the formation of the board?
No, I wouldn't. Sometimes development is incremental. Change doesn't often come in leaps and bounds. But when there is gradual change, it inures to the benefit of the people. Martin, just by his personality when he was appointed, many of us knew that that was going to put cold feet in some people who would have been so minded to try and do certain kinds of things. And I think that what we always would be targeting is strong people in strong institutions. At the moment, the challenge is that we don't have a strong institution in the Special Prosecutor's Office. But we have managed with the first nomination and the second one to find people who appear to have that character where they can, as it were, confront corruption at the highest level without feeling intimidated or, backtracking and saying, no, you know what, I'm not going to touch this thing. So, and we've seen some results. I mean, we cannot say that nothing at all has been achieved. In the context that the other agencies have still continued to play their role, and we haven't seen that level of, let's say, very robust intrusion or taking up of issues, I would say that this office has, at least up to now, shown a sense in which, yes, we can say that it was worth promoting and pushing through to get an office of the special prosecutor. It leaves, and I also think that what the office has not achieved is becoming much more clear that this is because of a lack of resources and a lack of support that could have gotten this office to do much more. And so that's one of the risks government faces when it does not quickly act on ensuring that the office has its resources, has its board in place. It gives credence to what Mr. Martin Amidu was saying in the past. And I'm not quite sure whether government is paying attention to the ball when it does not act quickly to put a board in place.
Now let's look at this, Martin. Benjamin here. So we look at 2018 and what happened. We've had reviews of the Office of the Special Prosecutor when Martin Amidu was in the hot seat. And if you cast your mind back, you would realize that even in 2018, on the back of the office being set up and all of that, it took a bit of time before the board was constituted. But it was. But in this instance, we're looking at 9 months. I want to refer you to the rhetoric of His Excellency the President when he roped in or swore in Kisi Ejabeng. The rhetoric was that we're going to do much better, we're going to give you more funding, and we're going to ensure that practically everything that you need, you get so that you can move on the path of the fight against anti-corruption. Especially on the back of what we saw with Martin Amidu and his accusations leveled against the executive. Does this come to you as a surprise that we seem to be repeating this vicious cycle?
Well, on one hand, yes. On another hand, no. On one hand, yes. I mean, the engagements we've had with the president in the past, I've always felt that this is a man who can take independent decisions, ignoring what the people around him are saying. And that left me with the conclusion that if the president of the land is not fed with the right type of information, he could take the wrong decisions, or he may not act. And I'm quite certain that our governance architecture is one of my personal thinkings, that we've got to look at our governance architecture, who surrounds the president, how do they give them information that allows him to act. And this is because of a number of incidents that have gone on where I'm clearing my mind. I don't think that the people around the president are giving him sufficient and adequate information. Because you don't end up in that office, especially when you have the opportunity to leave a legacy, and then very basic low-hanging things do not get done. So on one hand, I am surprised because I don't think that the president saying that in inaugurating Sekisi Ajabeng meant to just trifle with what he was saying. However, I'm not surprised because there have been occasions where we had engagements and I was clear in my mind that this man was not giving all the information. So it took a meeting with civil society for us to raise other elements for him to suddenly say, you know what, let's do A, B, C. And it tells me that even if in the future we are to get a good person, excellent material there, but we're not watching how our governance architecture allows the person to perform. You have the cliques, the cartels, who will make sure we have a president but are feeding fat on the rest of us by making sure he cannot take actions that protect the president.
So just to clarify on this, you are basically suggesting that the president is being fed with the wrong information, and so in such instances as this, he is actually being misled. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily. They may go quiet because they have an interest in making sure the board is not there and the board does not function and the office does not function. So whoever is supposed to remind the president that, look, this office's board is still hanging and there's a list that is already with us, they decide not to. It may be on somebody's desk because why not? 9 months. So I'm happy that media is taking this up now because the much more we raise these issues, the more likely the president is likely to not have an option but to hear and act, So those are my thoughts. I'm not too surprised on one hand because in other events, we found that the president hadn't been given all the information required.
Martin, so the first time in 2018, it took some... Adam, my apologies. I don't know why I'm calling you Martin. My apologies for that. Man. Now, it took 5 months before the board was constituted under Amidu. And again, it took some pressure. In this instance, add 4 months to that, 9 months, 3 quarters. And so you add another 3 months, and we've already gone a year without the special prosecutor having a board. But just how much of an impediment is this? Because I'm looking at Section 6 of Act 959, the Special Prosecutors Bill, or law, which stipulates that the board's duties would include policy development, ensuring the effectiveness of the office, advising on the appointment of the administrative secretary. It means this is not possible to be done now. And other senior officers of the office, monitoring the implementation of a code of conduct of the office. Basically, it should work, but simply not interfere with the day-to-day running of the office. It means there is a great impediment, but how much of an impediment do you think it is, Adam?
You see, if you wanted staff who have years of experience in a particular area of the working of the special prosecutor, whether it is investigations, prosecution. These will all be senior staff. You want somebody who understands the current trends of crime and has, or you need someone who has technological understanding of the kind of equipment you can deploy to get information, etc. This will not be junior staff. You need to get senior staff who have this capacity. The document that gives you the mandate says that senior staff can only be, on the advice of the board. You need a board in. Now, beyond that, all policy issues, anything that has to be medium to long term, where you are planning that we are getting these vehicles, we're going to have to set up a branch here, we're going to have to make sure, once it is policy oriented and you need that policy in place, and then you can do a budget and get approval for the budget to execute, you need a board. So there's no way any serious work can get done. What it probably means is that the special prosecutor himself and the deputy, together with whatever skeleton staff, must be working overboard, over time, for us to get the little we are seeing now. Mm-hmm. And with all the recent cases that have come up, the likelihood is that they're going to take much, much, much longer to put together the information that gives them a solid case on any of these issues in order to then go to court and try and get a ruling. So it's a very serious indictment on the presidency that there's been no action on this in 9 months. And there's a sense in which I wish we could drill down to who has received the information from the various institutions who have nominated persons and is supposed to move that forward. What's the chain? Let's stop the situation where I'd rather not say it's the presidency. I'd rather know it's Mr. A whose responsibility is. So somebody from the press should get back to us. Who is it who has failed to act? That's the only way we'll be making progress as we move into the future, that we're able to name and shame those who are not giving us the progress. So where is this document at the moment? Somebody needs to speak up and tell us how much more longer it's going to take to get traction on this issue of establishing a board for the OSP.
Let me now bring in lawyer Martin Kpebu. I think Benjamin kept saying Martin because we're expecting him to join the conversation. Good morning, lawyer Kpebu. Thank you for your time here. So you've been saying that Ghanaians aren't angry enough about fighting corruption. But here we have a whole office set up by the presidency. Benjamin just made reference to what the president said when he was swearing in Kisie Jabing. 9 months on, we don't have a board. We've just explained. Hello, can you hear me, Lawyer Kpebu?
Yes, I can hear you, Venice.
Okay, great.
Yes,
so,
I can.
All right. So I'm just saying we've just explained the impact of this on the work of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. You've said that we are not angry enough in our fight against corruption. But what do you see from the point of leadership with regards to this particular issue and creating institutions that some have even said, look, in the first place, we didn't even need anyway. We should have ensured that those that were existing were doing their job in terms of dealing with corruption instead of creating another one. And like we see now, they don't really have much to work with.
Yes, Bernice, you've hit the nail right, okay? That's it, you've nailed it. But the problem is...
Too bad. We'll try and work on that line to lawyer Martin Kpebu, Benjamin. We seem to have a challenge there. He joins us via Zoom. Hopefully, we can work that line and hear what he has to say. But he's been very vocal about a fight against corruption and what he thinks, and he doesn't mince words. He says it as it is. So it'll be good to hear his thoughts on this. But while we wait for Mr. Kpebu, let me find out from you, since we're talking about corruption, yesterday some members of the minority in Parliament raised concerns about the National Cathedral project. and the transparency around exactly how much government is given as seed money. Now we are learning that there is some additional seed money being given. I listened to that conversation between Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa and Deputy Finance Minister John Kumah on Top Story last night. And we still do not know, as we sit here, how much government has contributed in terms of seed money towards the National Cathedral project. Your quick thoughts on that? Hello, Adam.
Okay, I wasn't sure you were speaking to me. Well, yes. I think that transparency and accountability is crucial in these matters. And when they are matters of faith, I think that the standard of relevance is even higher, such that you don't begin to impugn any form of, fraud or any undoing, untowardness by any parties. So the National Cathedral Secretariat should be that minded to provide every piece of information that can provide credibility to the project, that can provide confidence in people who want to support it, that at the end of it, it is not something that rather divides us and, as it were, its purpose will not be served. So Mr. Bakwe's questions are very valid. I think that by now we should have had a sense of what is going on, and those who have been tasked at the leadership level to champion this and to lead the process ought to come back and provide further and better particulars about what is going on and give us feedback. Why are we looking at the government purse for this when the president told us that all of this will be raised, independent of government? Is there something going on we ought to know about? I think it's only fair for all of us to have some clarity on what has transpired.
Okay, I'm told we have lawyer Martin Ikpebu back this time round. He joins us via the phone. I hope we can hear you clearly now, lawyer Ikpebu. You were reacting to this development from the Special Prosecutor's Office about the lack of a board 9 months on. Hello?
I'm Vice Jazim, not lawyer.
Okay, but I'm told we also have lawyer Ikpebu on the line.
Okay. Yes. Hello, Benny.
Yes, let's hear you, sir. Mr. Azim, I'll come back to you shortly.
Yes, Benny. This problem, okay, is one that we as citizens are also partly to blame for. That is to say, yes, even though government has not been quick to set up the board and not quick to give the special prosecutor funding, we were also caught napping. We all know that usually in this aspect, government will not fight corruption as much as we citizens would desire. I mean, it's a plain truth. Let's just say it as it is. Because people are making money in government. People are making millions of dollars. So they are not eager to strengthen the special prosecutor to come after them. It looks counterintuitive. So it is for us as citizens to be vigilant. I can't imagine that for 9 months we didn't see this. So maybe, Benny, you guys need to have a special desk for the Office of Special Prosecutor and then maybe detail a particular journalist. You see, because what happens is that, yes, I'm helping the campaign against anti-corruption, but we do this pro bono. Nobody is funding us. So I must first earn a living before I come and join the campaign. But if we have dedicated journalists, maybe Joy will take it up that, okay, for you, you are in the media space, so you have a dedicated journalist who specializes in matters of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, so that he knows the act inside out, timelines for things to be done, then every time he's on them. I think that will help us. And in actual fact, we can also contribute as citizens. I mean, if you do a GoFundMe, we will contribute, okay, so that we sustain this particular journalist or group of journalists whose work would be to constantly scrutinize the work of the special prosecutor because it helps. Once you are throwing more sunshine on his work, it incentivizes Mr. Kisié Jabin to also, hurry up because he knows that if he's late on anything, journalists will report. But this particular delay in setting up the board is a big indictment on both government and citizens. Our anger is not showing at all.
All right. Lawyer Pebu, when Lawyer Kisié Jabin's nomination was announced in April 2021 by the Attorney General, you are reported to have advised him to be strategic and do things differently in his capacity as the special prosecutor. Despite not having a board, we've seen quite a few things being done by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, a few statements being put out. The latest having to do with the freezing of the assets of the late Sir John. Despite not having the board, what will your assessment of the Special Prosecutor be for these past 9 months?
I lost the last part of the...
I'm asking what your assessment of the Special Prosecutor will be 9 months, despite not having a board.
Okay. Well, to be very honest, because he's frozen the assets of Sir John, I'm bound to say he has done very well. But I think that he also, he has not done as much as I expected. Because if the board was not being constituted, he should have come out. So we also want to tell him that, look, next time he should be more forthright. Because he's supposed to be independent. So if he doesn't have the board and he's quiet about it, it's not a good thing. Mr. Kisié Jabin was earning a living as a private legal practitioner. I don't expect that he will be cozy with government. If your board is not being constituted, come out. Okay? So, yes, I'm very excited that he's losing the assets of Sir John. But in the same breath, I'm not happy at all that he kept news that whilst his board was not constituted. Please, we've reposed the public trust in him, and we expect that he should do it for us. Mr. Jabin, please do it for us. Don't look at the president. You see, the president has just 2.5 years to go. He will be gone. He's a very old man, right? And Mr. Jabin, you are still a very young man, and so we expect that he should be as vibrant as Mr. Ambi. Very vibrant. You say, he shouldn't look at it that he's been given a job by the president. So, the president is not paying him from his own resources. It's the taxpayers' money. You say, so he has to live up to the billing. I expect that next time he should complain. Even though we had issues with Mr. Amidou talking too much, we are not saying Mr. Jabin should equally maybe write long epistles and all that. But at least maybe 3 lines, 4 lines to complain or something. Then we can also jump in, okay, to help. So he also has part of the blame to take.
So he also has a bit of blame to bear in there. But let me bring in Vitus Azim. It is interesting we're here because, like I was mentioning the first time, in 2018 we were here. For 5 months the board was not constituted. This time for 9 months, 3 months shy of a year, it's not been constituted. But let's go down history lane for a bit. In February, right before February actually, we heard from Alfred Tuah-Yeboah, the Deputy Attorney General, and he said that at the time, again, anti-graft groupings like yours came forth and said that, look, why do we not have a board? Are we going to duplicate or live out what we saw under Martin Amidou? And Alfred Tuah-Yeboah, Deputy Minister of Justice and Attorney General, said by February, the board was going to be constituted because of the mechanisms, Council of State and all of that, and that we would know these people. Yes, we know them now in terms of the groupings and their representatives, but the board has still not been constituted, given legal backing. Does this imply, from where you sit, that there is some lack of will to do this? Because this is the second time coming. We saw it under Martin Amidou. We are seeing it under Kisié Jabin. Is there some intentionality to this?
Well, it is just a lack of commitment to get the Office of Special Prosecutor working very effectively.
You see, we usually do these things half-heartedly. Yes, he can boast that he has set up the office of special prosecutor. But you need to go beyond that and make sure that the special prosecutor is able to work. I know the special prosecutor himself has come out to say this in public, that he does not have a board, and so it affects the work that he does. For example, if he needs to recruit certain categories of officers, he needs to get the board's approval. So even though he's doing something now, as we're seeing, he's constraining how much he can do because he doesn't have enough personnel. I agree with Martin that at least we in civil society or his citizens are not putting enough pressure on the president to do what he's expected to do. Some of us have talked about it on air, but we need the anti-corruption and other institutions to come out with press releases calling on the president to appoint the board. My checks have shown that the president said, those who are there should continue. But you haven't made that statement publicly. You need to officially announce that they should go ahead and even inaugurate them again. Besides, some of the people on the board are no longer with their institutions. They were representing their institutions and they have proceeded on retirement. So you need to ask them to replace those people. And if those people are coming in, they need to be inaugurated and even to declare their assets. So much as you may want to blame citizens, the president has a list of institutions that is required by law to appoint boards of directors and inaugurate them. Why is he not doing it? He has appointed other institutions, other boards. What is special about the Office of Special Prosecutor that is making the president not want to have a board? Is it not because he wants to cripple the board? I mean, the office.
Is that how you feel? You say you're posing the question. Is it not because the president wants to cripple the board? Is that how you feel?
Yeah, definitely. That's how we feel it. He doesn't have the commitment. He wants to cripple the board. He doesn't want to make it do his work. I don't know what else we can say.
But the president has been forceful. The president has been forceful. He has come out and said, I want this to happen. I want corruption to be nipped in the bud. I'm going to give the right logistics and all of that. How can you put the two, what you're saying here and what the president has said? How do you juxtapose that?
I have said that what you say is different from what you do. And what you do is more important than what you say. Politicians say things for political capital. But when you say them, we want to see you act on them. It's not enough to come out and say that you have set up the Office of Special Prosecutor, you are committed to making sure that it works. We are doing what will make it actually work, what will show that you are really committed. And he hasn't done that. Whereas they say actions speak louder than words. So what is preventing him? Some of them are institutional representatives. You just need to send a letter to them, say that, can you send me messages or people you want to be on the board? I think there are just one or two. I mean, all of them are institutions. There is civil society, who is supposed to be a woman. Then the others, what prevents him from doing it?
Right. I have a two-pronged question for you, and then maybe we can move on to our other guests. Well, I'm looking at the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2017, and 3 points. It enumerates what the object of the office is, and it says, A, investigate and prosecute specific cases of alleged or suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses. B, recover the proceeds of corruption and corruption-related offenses. And C, take steps to prevent corruption. So it has a preventive function and an active function at the same time. So where people are seen to have dabbled in corruption, deal with the issues and forestall corruption where possible. Now, we don't have a board constituted, and that is impacting, clearly, the work of the special prosecutor. How much of an impact do you feel this is having on Kissie Jabing's work? And the other side of the question is, looking at what he's been doing, the Dwabin MC, he's jumped into the fray. Sir John's issue, he's jumped into the fray. And other matters which he's been vocal about and issued statements on. How well do you feel he has fared, even without a board? So, two-pronged question, Vitus.
Well, he himself has said that the lack of a board impacts negatively on his work. So we don't need to restate that. every institution, the laws that set up these institutions have made it clear that they need to have boards. And they give out the composition of those boards. They spell out their functions. So if you don't have a board, it means that those functions that have been spelled out in the law, setting up the office of special prosecutor, cannot be performed. That is very clear. And if they are not performing their function, it means that you are clipping the wings of the special prosecutor. So that's number one. Number two is that, well, I've said that it's better late than never. We have been expecting the office of special prosecutor to take people to court and successfully prosecute them on corruption. He has started doing something. In the case of the PPA boss, he delayed for 1 year, and the assets, we are told, have been taken out, which is not good enough. But at least he sent him to court. And then he has also frozen the assets of Sir John. We look forward to more of these things. Otherwise, state resources are just being looted, and people take them away and just enjoy themselves. So, yeah, we can commend him for that. But we expect him to do more. But for him to be able to do more, we expect the president to do more, giving the assurance that he is giving the necessary support, the necessary resources, including a board of directors. If the president does not do that, we see it as lack of political will, or even the deliberate desire to clip the wings of the office.
A deliberate desire to clip the wings of the office. That has quite a bit of a sound to it. But let's bring in Adam, maybe?
Yeah, before I bring in Adam, let me find out from you, Mr. Azim. So besides the Office of the Special Prosecutor, there are laws and frameworks, other institutions put together to check corruption in the country. Let's look at assets declaration. So we have a law which provides the framework and guidelines for persons in public office to declare their assets. But we don't see that happening. And that conversation has resurfaced even as the will of Sir John leaked into the public domain. And there are many people who are wondering, what did he have prior to becoming the Forestry Commission boss? What's the missing link here? We have a law which requires that the people do this, but they don't do it. And many of them go unpunished. What do you think is the missing link?
The missing link, first, is the law enacted by Parliament. Parliamentarians insist that the Auditor General has no right to verify, in fact, to even open the declarations and look at them. And two, to verify them. And three, to publicly disclose, make the declarations public. That is a very weak law. It has no basis. Because the Constitution says that the Auditor General shall put in place measures to operationalize the law. So if the Auditor General thinks that the best thing is for him to open the envelopes and look at them and see what you have put there, to even follow up to the various project sites that you've listed in your answer, whether they actually exist, and to publish them, there's nothing wrong with that. We've done this in this country under the PNDC. So that is one thing. The politicians themselves do not have the political will to get this thing done. And so that is one missing link. The second missing link is the Commission for Human Rights and Restorative Justice. They are supposed to, when it comes to their attention that somebody has not declared his or her asset, they are supposed to investigate and establish that the fellow has not, if they establish the fellow has not done that, then they prescribe sanctions. We have not seen much of what Chirac has done in that regard. Chirac too is folding his hands and waiting for somebody to come and petition that this particular officer has not declared his or her asset. Because the Act does not say that Chirac should call for various declarations and see whether they are genuine declarations or not. Or even to ask the Auditor General to publish the names of people who have declared, so that the Ghanaians can look and say, oh, okay, my MP's name is not on the list. It means he has not declared. Then you go to Chirac and say, look, this is what's happening. Then Chirac will investigate. But that is not happening. The Auditor General, some of us have challenged that the Auditor General should at least publish the names of those who have not declared. If you are afraid to publish those who have not declared, at least publish those that have declared, so that when we look at them, we'll now know those that have not declared. The Auditor General has not been bold enough to do that.
Lawyer People, let me bring you in at this point. Mr. Azim thinks that the law is weak. Do you agree?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I missed you.
Mr. Azim thinks that the law is weak. Do you agree? The law on assets declaration.
Yes, Benny, that is it, too. That is it. It's very clear. The writing is on the wall. I mean, for lack of a better expression, this law is that weak. And we've been complaining ad nauseum. You hear something, I hear the news take. Even this people, but as far as I remember, something has been drumming about this since 2015. And I can imagine that even before then, because as Mr. Azim rightly pointed out, even under the PND, they were publishing the declaration. You go to the Gazette. You see, we call this place Assembly Press, just next to Accra Police. You could go and get it. All the appointees were required to file. So today, even when you go, you can still get this is what you call it, publications that were made during the PND. So why is it that ours is being shrouded in secret? That's under the 1998 Act. The Constitution didn't say that it should be secret. Act was done under the law. That's the Act 550. So that's a big blow. Then also, number two, the major thing wrong with this is that the what you call appointees, when they are leaving office, they just leave. They are not made to account. The Constitution makes it clear in Article 286 clause 4 that if a public officer has wealth, property, that he cannot explain how he acquired that, that's to say if it's income, inheritance, or all the other sources cannot explain that, we should confiscate. And we all know that politics is the, what you call the most lucrative business in Ghana. You find somebody comes out of school, he has no job, he goes to politics, and then he becomes rich and all that. So the point I'm making is that, yes, we don't hold them before shrine to account for their wealth. So that is one of the greatest weaknesses of the law. I keep saying it. Look, Bennett, let's go into history. You hear about the Jobo Committee, you hear about the Anit Yagi Commission of Inquiry. All these commissions, what they did was that they investigated Kwame Nkrumah's appointees, the ambassadors, the ministers, and so on and so forth, for their wealth. So you have to account for everything. So we need to amend the law to put in a clause that as soon as you are leaving office, it's automatic. You go and then account for the assets you have in your asset declaration.
Mr. Kwebu, I just have a bit of an intervention. You keep going back to the law, the law, the law. Yes, we all recall what happened to the likes of Krobo Edusei and all of that under the Nkrumah regime. But here's the thing. The law is nothing without implementation. So you keep talking about we must do this, we must fix this into the law. But that is exactly where we are. We have an assets declaration regime. Some are saying the 6-month window should be taken off. But we've had this for years, since the 90s. It has never bitten. As we speak, 18 out of the president's ministerial nominees from 2017 have declared their assets. Only 18 of them. What are the rest of them doing? So the law is there, but without implementation, it remains paper. It remains just that. What do we do beyond that to compel the officers to do the right thing? That is what I feel we should be addressing, Martin.
Excellent. Yeah, so Mr. Akapu, we are saying the same thing there. It's about the implementation. So the last point I made, I said this new law, the amendment of, there is a bill. We don't know when the bill will pass. I mean, well, it's still going through some processes. But even before then, if the government, the executive, the president thinks that it will take a longer time to pass the bill at the cabinet, then let's have a quick fix, which will be that the sanctions for failure to file the declaration should be more explicit. But right now, it's not as if there is no law. The law says Shrine should determine the punishment. So I think after Mr. Akaku, interview Commissioner Witter again, that what does he intend to do? Because the law says if you don't file, he should determine what to do to you. So at least if he can do something in the interim. The other problem I was talking about was that when they file, people are acquiring assets, big assets, millions of dollars. But they are not called to account. So what I'm saying, Mr. Akafu, is that if you fill in the form, if you declare you are safe, until somebody goes to report you, and we are saying that we don't have enough people to report. Very few people are as brave as Manasseh. Very few people, Samson and Co. So people are not willing to report. So I'm saying that one of the biggest amendments we need is that we can't rely on citizens reporting, because DDD's report, DDD did the research, and it showed that about 8 out of 10 say they are scared. So you see why Manasseh and Co are very few. So I'm saying that let's amend the law that automatically, once you are leaving office, whether the president sacks the appointee or is end of a particular party's regime, let's say they were voted out of office, so they are leaving, okay, or the person resigns, whichever way, all die be die. Once you are exiting office, automatically you go before Shraj. And as you go before Shraj, Shraj will announce that Mr. Asako, Mr. Bernard Asako is appearing before Shraj on Monday, 5th June, blah, blah, blah. Anybody who has information can, bring him to us. And you will see people who will send information secretly. Then they will use it to confront Mr. Asako. That's how we do it. Because, you see, that is how let's repeat the story. We keep repeating. You hear about former special prosecutor, Lawyer Pia. It was somebody who leaked information to the commission that he had bank accounts that Coles Motors and Mr. Henry Jabba had paid him money in London. So somebody leaked it, and then that's how Lawyer Pia was convicted, and he lost his office and went to jail. Then you come to the Anitiagi Commission. You will see quite a number of the appointees who came in. The commission said that they got anonymous information. So we want to use what has worked in the past. Let's not try new things. We are trying this report system. It's not working. Meanwhile, in our past, we showed that automatic appearance helps so that people will bring information anonymously. You see? So we are saying the same thing. We don't have enough people to report politicians because among others, people are scared. Why are they scared? I can imagine they are scared of reprisal attacks or something like that. So why don't we make it anonymous? Then Shraj can investigate.
There's an interesting thought that just came to mind on the back of all that you've said, and I agree with you. Interestingly as well, you would notice that Shraj should have representation on the board of the OSP, which because the board hasn't been constituted, at least given legal backing, we cannot hear from them in that instance. At least it's in reference to what you said, Joseph Whittle of Shraj should be doing. So now he would have to do that, but if they had representation, it would have been simpler. But I'm thinking, Martin, especially from the legal end, how about if we put it in our statutes, our laws that, listen, we may give you the 6-month window, but if within the 6 months you do not declare your assets, you lose your position. If we made it legally binding, how don't you think that would be a solution?
Great. Yes. Before I come to that substantive, let me correct something here a bit. Just clarify. Under the law, what I meant by you can interview Mr. Whittle is that under Article 287, if currently Article 287 of our law, if an appointee does not declare, Mr. Whittle has power to determine what to do. Listen, let me read it out. He says, the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, or the Chief Justice, as the case may be. So when you see Chief Justice, that is in the case of Commissioner Whittle, he has to declare his access to the Chief Justice, okay? May take such action as he considers appropriate in respect of the results of the investigation or the admission. So what I'm saying is that, Mr. Kapu, the 18 ministers or let's say officers who have filed, apart from them, the rest who have not, under the law currently, Mr. Kapu, you can go and make a report to Shraj that your understanding from Manasseh's investigation is that many public officers have not declared. Maybe you can even just do this. Take the list of the 18, and then from there you can extrapolate and write out as many as possible all the people whose names are not on that list, and present your petition to Shraj that it appears these people have breached the law. Then Commissioner Whittle will go into it. And under this law, he says he should do as he deems appropriate. So he can say, look, I'm recommending to the president to suspend you. He cannot suspend. I recommend that your salary, you be not paid for 3 months for contravening this law. I recommend that you be sacked. So Commissioner Whittle has a lot of power, but do you know why? It's because as citizens, we've not scared him. If we're crying and telling him to do something, then he'll be empowered. Because don't forget, people are usually scared. Even public officers themselves who can be scared.
Lawyer People, sorry, let me just interject here. I appreciate the bit on the citizens' involvement in the fight against corruption. But with the example you're just citing, these are people who've been given jobs, who are being paid to do their jobs. I mean, I'm sure someone is saying, for crying out loud, I sit in my office and nobody is sitting on my neck to do what I'm paid for. I am really sure that Commissioner Whittle knows that this is his role and he has legal backing to do what he has to do. Yes, the citizen will get involved, but don't you think here we are putting too much burden on the citizen to put pressure on somebody to do what he's paid to do?
Excellent. Bennett, I'm very happy you asked this. So let's go back. Even matter of fact, with what do you call it? The way you've asked this question, it brings forward another proposal. So the other proposals would be that when it comes to the asset declaration, the commissioner, we should fix the law that, look, whether it's 3 months, if by any event, please, people are saying that 6 months is unconstitutional because it's not in the constitution, but let's leave that for now. If we were to decide that 1 month because of practical problems and all those in terms of implementation, or even if we were to say 6 months, Bennett, your question brings a good solution, a good proposal again. That, and we should also have it in the law that as soon as that time is passed, automatically, commissioner can begin to investigate even without any report. So as you are complaining that, well, not complaining, like you are pointing out to me that we are putting too much of a burden on citizens, then let's put it clearly in the law that, Commissioner Whittle, we don't need anybody to come and report to you that somebody has not declared assets. Please, 2 months after an appointee takes office, automatically begin to investigate if such an appointee has not filed. Begin automatically. Because right now, if you don't do that, okay, Commissioner Whittle will not. People will say, hey, where is the complainant? Hey, where is the complainant? Do you remember Richard Anani's case during President Kufuor's regime?
Yeah.
When he went to the Supreme Court, they held that there was no complainant. And so why was Shraj busy? Shraj was a busybody investigating that particular matter when there was no complainant, because Shraj saw it in the newspaper and started. So please, Penny, so the Supreme Court says that there should be complainant, though I'm aware they subsequently changed the law. But this particular one, asset declaration, is not one of those ones that they made a change. So as it stands now, for asset declaration, you need a complainant. So if you don't want a complainant, let's put in the law that, please, 1 month after or whatever period after, the Shraj should just automatically trigger investigations into those who have not declared.
Let me come to you, Mr. Vitus Azim. This conversation just brought to mind the concerns of many people when the Office of the Special Prosecutor was being set up. I appreciate that there is expected to be an interplay between these various agencies in the fight against corruption. But clearly, from what we are seeing, the offices that were created prior to the Office of the Special Prosecutor themselves are not performing efficiently. They still have a lot of targets they are not meeting. How do you think we can consolidate the fight against corruption? Is it possible that we can bring all of these elements related to the fight against corruption, like asset declaration and all, under one body so that it could be more consolidated? Let me just know your thoughts on that.
Well, I think some time ago, I don't remember the year, Ghana Integrity Initiative brought all these accountability institutions together.
Okay.
And we tried to form something like a grouping that will help in the sharing of information, and that will help avoid duplication of efforts. So we brought the audit service, CHRAG, the police, and all that. so that when there's a case that is being investigated by the special prosecutor, the police will not at the same time also be investigating. The police will only have to provide whatever information they have on the case to the special prosecutor to continue with the investigation. That is one thing. But the other thing is that there are irregularities or there are inconsistencies in some of our laws. So we need to also look at those laws and make sure that we remove those inconsistencies. You see, people keep talking about to declare your assets within 6 months or 3 months. The Constitution says upon assumption of duty, assumption of office. It is only the 1993 group that the Constitution says 6 months. And that is anything, not later.
It
not
is not
later
that
than any of the two. So once the Constitution is now in operation, nobody should be talking about 6 months or 3 months. It is upon assumption of office. Unfortunately, Parliament decided to make it within 6 months. But that contravenes the Constitution. So we should not be talking about 6 months or 3 months. You can come in the day that you are being sworn in with your asset declaration, or even as you are being vetted, before Parliament approves the vetting, approves you. That could be one of the conditions. That have you declared your assets? Let's see. You see, I think that the law has given enough powers to Commission on Human Rights and the Audit Service to operationalize the law. Why can't the charge write to the Auditor General saying that these officers have left office? Can you advise us as to whether they have declared their assets or not upon leaving office? Is there a law that prevents Chirac from doing that? The implementation, even though the law has weaknesses, the implementation is weaker as well. And so people must be proactive. You are employed to work and you are paid by state resources. You need to sit up and do your work. After all, if you do it and you are taken to court, you are not going there as an individual. You are going there as an institution. And these institutions have lawyers to defend them. At worst, the Attorney General can come in and also help to defend them. Why are they not being proactive and doing the things that they're supposed to do, given their interpretation of the law? Operationalize, it means a lot of things to the Auditor General. Why is the Auditor General not doing that? The President has said he has declared his assets and has been confirmed that he has declared his assets. What prevents the President from disclosing his assets as a leader? He says, oh, there's not much there. But if there's not much there, what prevents you from disclosing them? So it is the implementation, it's the human beings that are supposed to act that are failing or refusing to act.
All right. So we've been having this conversation about fighting corruption in the country. Let's make it real, okay? So we are told that we lose about $3.7 billion annually to corruption. We are still dealing with schools under trees in this country. We still have communities without hospitals in this country. We have bad roads in this country. The human quality or the quality of life could be improved if we get all of these amenities to every Ghanaian functioning properly so that we can all have good lives to live. Over the weekend, there was the election of the NPP regional executives, and the NPP is the governing party. And we had one of the defeated chairman aspirants in the Ashanti region openly say that he paid 1,000 cedis to delegates, but he lost because those he was in competition with paid higher monies. Okay. Now, this is in our face. We've come to accept that this is the way of life, or this is how we want to do politics in this country. If this were another jurisdiction, I'm sure this person would have been picked up by now, because clearly vote buying is illegal, both on the part of the person offering and the person receiving it. But our laws are there, so many of them, they don't bite. People say these things and they get away with it. Look at the issue with the neutrality allowance that the civil service workers were asking for. There were those who said, look, don't do this. Once you do that, you give credence to the perception that politicians are in there and they get something. So once I do not belong to a certain party and I cannot get what you're getting in office, I must be compensated for it. Do you think, beyond our leaders, that as a people ourselves, we are, or we even understand really what amounts to corruption and what it costs us in the end when we allow some of these things to fester?
I think we understand, we know what corruption is, but most of us have given up the fight and have decided to join the bandwagon. We have come to see it as a normal way of life, that you cannot make it in life without it. Of course, that's not to say that the leadership too has failed us. You see, you just give the example. One former DC or a failed DC is supposed to be prosecuted for giving 5,000, saying that he has given 5,000 each to the delegates or the assembly members. Is it enough to prosecute the man who gave the money? How about the assembly people that also took the money? They took the money. We should also prosecute them. It's not enough. You see, that's why I say sometimes we take half-hearted actions. The man said he has given the money. Nobody has come out to deny that he has given the money. Why are we prosecuting one person and not prosecuting the other side? Sometimes they even demand that they pay those money for them to vote. So they also are responsible. They should also be prosecuted. When you do that 1, 2, 3, 4 times, it's possible that people become afraid, they become scared, and they will not maybe be a bit, maybe the situation might change in the long run. It may not be needed, but you see, the actions have to be taken. Now, if everybody, all around, the primaries, people are demanding money, and then people are also giving money, giving clubs, giving TV sets. In a few cases, people are also giving cars. Just for constituency elections or regional elections, and then when it comes to national elections, it's worse. National elections, some time ago, a presidential candidate was seen just dishing out money. But who has the will and the power to go out and arrest these people for doing that and bring them to prosecute them? And if the people, some will say, or if the people wanted the money, wouldn't have also been given. So what are we doing to the two parties?
It reminds me of a conversation a colleague of mine and other colleagues were having, and we said it becomes very difficult for you who wants to do the right thing to survive in a society like Ghana. It's unfortunate, but that's becoming the norm, because somebody even goes to the hospital, and has to pay something to get a bed.
You have to pay your way through.
When you're coming to receive life-saving intervention.
Forget a bed. Sometimes you
want
a pint of blood.
If you are sitting there and you are trying to do the right thing, your colleagues will start snubbing you. Your bosses will transfer you to a schedule that has nothing to do.
It's sad.
So how will you be encouraged to do the right thing?
Mr. Azim.
And so, yeah.
Right. I mean, this conversation can go on forever, but we're grateful that you've taken the time to join us. And some very important points you've made, especially the one concerning, look, even before, is it your vetting or something?
Yeah.
Have you declared your assets even before we proceed with you? If you've not, step aside. I think that is the way to go. And it's something that if truly our leaders want to root out corruption, pull it out root and branch, they would do. But the question is, will they? Mr. Azim, we're grateful for your time with us this morning. And do have a good day, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Right. Mr. Kwebu, just 2 quick points I want to run by you. The first, interesting, isn't it, that especially as Bernice raises the bit about how much we could be doing with all the resources that we bleed every year on the back of corruption. We also have the $25 million or so that we're pumping into a national cathedral project. I bring that in because it's also cost to our nation, cost to our country, some 200 million that we're looking at. while at the same time we still know that the Office of the Special Prosecutor lacks logistics, lacks money, that what has been promised has not been given. How does that resonate with you?
Oh, misplaced priority. Straight. No curve, no bend. Misplaced priority. Let's not talk plenty beyond that. That's what it is.
My final bit then on this, before we talk a bit about Sir John's assets being frozen and a search for more of them internationally. So I have been reading this report a year after Martin Amidu started work. The coalition of, anti-graft campaigners. You put out a report. And the conclusion of that report says something that I want us to look at and find out whether we are not still at the same place we were at in 2019. This is the conclusion of the report. Pervasive corruption remains an existential threat to the stability and prosperity of our dear republic. President Akufo-Addo and the MPP's proposal for a single-purpose vehicle to deal with the problem, particularly as it relates to politically exposed persons, was appropriate in the circumstances. The appointment of Mr. Amidu, because I'm referring to the past, raised even more expectation among the citizenry of tackling corruption in a serious manner. Note that. Raised expectation of tackling corruption in a serious manner. The final paragraph says, after a little over a year since the Office of the Special Prosecutor was established, we have seen progress, but it has not been fast enough to meet the expectations, some of which were admittedly unrealistic. But if we have lost time at the beginning, we should not lose more time now. As long as all stakeholders are committed, we should be able to make up for lost time. From the assessment, a few key issues have to be resolved as the OSP becomes fully operational. It talks about a number of these same matters we are talking about. The process of handing over the building, which is still a bit of a problem. Without a bigger office, the impediments in there, that there are a lot of cases that the OSP would have to deal with. And lastly, independence being essential for the OSP. Among the other issues we're talking about, it appears to me, tell me whether you disagree, we're still at point one, exactly where we started. Do you disagree?
Oh, not really. We are largely still at point one, because the same problems are still bedeviling the OSP. Yes, so still largely at point one. That's how it is. And you see, and that report is not the first. It's always been. Look, let's go back from Kwame Nkrumah's time. That was the same thing. So don't forget, corruption was one of the reasons for which he was overthrown. And almost subsequently, every government, and even the democratically elected ones, the reason we often vote them out is because of corruption. Remember 2016, we're paying for the blood of the President Mahama is appointee, thinking that President Akufo-Addo is a saint. I'm sure now we are all wiser. I would think how it panned out. So it's always been like that. So it tells you that the fight is still on. The fight is still on, and so we have to continue to marshal resources to continue fighting. If we don't, they will over us, like we say in this slang, okay, pidgin English. They will over us. And so that is exactly what you are doing. As we are having this conversation, we are pushing back, okay? So we are telling them that, look, we are not scared. We want the system to be fixed. And that's why I still come back to this and that. Maybe civil society, we should write a letter to Mr. Pipichu that we should dedicate one of you, the journalists, as the specialist on OSP matters, then maybe a specialist on shroud matters. You see, so that we know that, okay, we will get very frequent updates on what's happening. Because, and as I said, look, we are willing to contribute because, Mr. Akaku, right now we are talking. I'm at the court premises waiting for my case to be called. So you see that this anti-corruption campaign and the rest, I'm moonlighting. It doesn't bring me a living. It doesn't butter my bread. You see, so we need to find a way where we will restore people. We've seen that society, they also spread things. They don't have enough resources. Since coming into this space, I'm not a main civil society person. I'm a novice there. But when you take a look, you see that they don't get enough resources. So people think NGOs make money and the rest. No, I don't see. And now that I get closer with them and I work with them, I don't see the money. So what we're saying is that it appears, not just appears, really, civil society is not well resourced in this fight. So we need the media to also join in this way that it's systematic. There is dedicated journalists on this matter.
Mr. Kwewu, I mean, we'll be wrapping up shortly, but talking about delegates being paid by hopeful, aspirants for the chairmanship position of the New Patriotic Party in the Shanti region, makes me wonder what really is in there for them. If you can afford to pay each delegate 1,000 cedis or give them vehicles or television sets, it only tells you then what they're likely to make when they get in there. You've spoken about the involvement of citizens in the fight against corruption. Let me find out from you in very practical terms, beyond talking about this, what can a frustrated citizen do, or what can frustrated citizens do, so that, like Benjamin is saying, 2 years from now, we don't come back to the same conversation again? Because really, it honestly doesn't make any sense that we're still at the same point with all the interventions that we put in place to deal with corruption.
Good. Frustrated citizens, number one, from this conversation, we're saying that under the current law, for Shrai to work, on this asset declaration matter, we need a complainant. Manasseh has put it out that only 18 have complied. So maybe Benis Abubeju, Lancer, and Mr. Ben Akaku, you do a joint petition to Commissioner Witter that you are complaining under 287, 286, and 287 that the rest of the appointees have not. And I'm sure citizens will want to sign. Let's start it. You don't need any plan. You don't need a lawyer to write it. Then it's you and Ben. Start it. When I come back from court, if we need all of us to sign, we can sign. Let's do it. If we don't do this, then it means that we'll also just be talking and talking. Let's just use plain English. Dear Commissioner Witter, it has come to our attention that blah, blah, blah. Then we attach the news story from Manasseh Awuni. Okay? And then so we are asking you to investigate. That's it. The asset declaration matter. He will do it. Because if you don't send a petition or a complaint to him, he will not. So let's not talk plenty. Let's reserve the rest of the energy and write this petition today. Then you can invite listeners, those who want to sign. You can say that, okay, you are leaving the petition at the front desk of Joy FM. Citizens who want to sign should come and sign. Or maybe if you want to do an electronic version, please, let's do it right now.
Finally, lawyer, you're speaking about the asset declaration issue. So I'm looking at the front page of the Daily Graphic. We've touched on this, but I just want some more to it. Sir John's assets frozen. Office of Special Prosecutor moves to freeze those overseas. Tell us what happens legally after this. So someone's assets is frozen locally and internationally. Then what next?
Great. Yeah, so after this, so meaning that investigations have commenced. Subsequently, they'll go to court and extend the freezing, and all that. Then, at the end of the investigation, even though Sir John is dead, if it turns out that, look, there are, Mr. Charles Owusu is alive, his nephew, who is also named in the will and who was working with him. So he has some answers to give. So if at the end of the day they find that Mr. Owusu has some questions to answer, there is a prima facie case, so to speak, for lack of a better word, they will hold him before the law court to answer. And then for these ones, even though Sir John is dead, under the law still, if the assets are grossly disproportionate to his income, under the Article 286 Clause 4 and also the OFC law, we can confiscate. We can, yes. Once it's very clear, very, very clear, we look at the income he had and all that, yes, we should still be able to confiscate that to the state. So for me, as it stands now, depending on how the investigations go, we can have criminal prosecution in court. It's not only Sir John who was involved. There were people he worked with, so they say follow the money. Following the money may lead to some other people, so they could be criminal prosecution, and then two, there could be confiscation of the properties involved.
Okay.
Yes.
We really appreciate your time this morning, Lawyer Martin Kpebu, there speaking on corruption and ending his conversation with us on the issue of the OSP freezing Sir John's assets. He's just explained to us what the legal procedure is. And so we'll be keeping our eyes and see what the Office of the Special Prosecutor does with this particular one. And also on whether we will see a quick reaction from government with regards to the lack of a board for the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Only time will tell, because a promise was made to us before February, and we're in what? June now. 4 months on.
Talking about June, I'm sure that many of us, if you're somebody who usually checks your calendar, you will know that today is June 3. You know, after school, when you don't write dates,
yeah.
in your notebook again, a lot of people lose sight of that. But today is June 3. And it's not a happy occasion.
Not the fondest of memories at all.
For a lot of Ghanaians. We lost over 150 people to that flood and fire disaster at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle here in Accra. And our colleague, Kojo Brace, stepped out, you know, because usually there is an event to commemorate the occasion. But the bigger question is...
Have we learned any lessons?
And also, what the future holds for us. We've seen the rain parting over the past few weeks. We've seen what happened last week and the week before that when it rained quite consistently, not too heavy though, but quite consistently over a period of hours. We will be finding out what the weather pattern will be like in the coming days, because it's important you know, so that you can, just stay alert and protect yourself. But before we have that conversation, let's bring in Kojo Brace, who's been out commemorating June 3.
JoyNews. Today we are at Circle, right opposite Vienna, where 7 years ago today, a sad incident occurred. We called it the twin disaster of flooding and fire. Well, this filling station, after a heavy downpour, got flooded. The whole area got flooded. And because the fuel had leaked, fire, broke out, and it caused a lot of devastation. As you can see, all the scraps here are remnants of the cars that got burnt on that day. Today, 7 years on, we are here to interact with victims of the disaster, to find out from them how things are running for them and what ought to be done to ensure that life becomes bearable for them, if it's unbearable because of that. I have 3 survivors here with me. Chief, good morning.
Good morning, boss.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
So what's your name?
Kasim Suraj.
Kasim Suraj. Okay. What's your name, sir?
My name is Jacob Ama Nkrumah.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Good. What's your name, sir?
Thomas Sechi.
How are you doing? Suraj, let me start with you. Do you recall what you were doing and what happened on that day?
Please, I will talk to you.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, Pacho, that day na so to na me no my wife na nam ene me ba ne me bra. Ke nipa 4. Nti ya dru ase na e flood ye na me ka ne ka ase. Nti ye na e be gina ase. Nti ya gina ona me wife say me ndani me chi na me hwe na ejao me ndani me nkwa na eja beto mi tiso me ho hwi biem. Ndi me expect team na 37 na 37 so me ko da on sa time no na me nim say my wife ne me brother me busa for o mewu ndi me da wa e be discharge me ansa na psychologist for ya mo ba me nche na me nim de okoso de na but yanka be see my wife no o mo wa admission reach na me so mo 37 ndi na me so me gidi sa da e be discharge me na chem so my wife me busa for o me film ndi na easy na me di bibia e de ma nyame set de nyame na e ma nyame na eje nti But fiti satam na besin de se no challenges kwa me da so sa egusi kwa ayaresa ane ba skasem nti ena na nsia ayaresa ena Mr. Mentimi ko review bi mu saji ba ku 20 ena me ye nkase miti yi nkase fi miti nti ko we kura headgear na be hye miti kura na ska ni ma be headgear ska wan na me admission na ebetua me base me ko bisa ye say admission base na etua compensation me tuwa na mo enko yi
monetary compensation
compensation na me bisa won e say me medical base compensation last year me gina say me kasa na obi beji mark say we ya tua compensation then na me kasa compensation ya mo bia compensation my wife ni me busa for my shuru me busa for say we anka me be chichi mu kakra yarisa na me hwe mu scanio busa na me boys la show ye betua me bisa ese compensation nti me sra mu compensation de embae nti ye be sra aban na omo hwe na mo to na mo man mpinifo na mo kabia omo kabi man na nti me nya ye sika na nti me hwe ye won na nti me hwe ye yarisa.
So what Suraj is basically saying is that on that day he was here with the wife, child, and a brother. When all of a sudden the wife said, "Fire!" Immediately he turned. There was fire on his head, and that's everything he recalls. By the time he realized he was at 37, so many operations. He's gone through 20 of such operations just to recover to be how he is today. He says that, you know, he lost a huge thing on the skull there. We are showing to you on the screen now. That's his skull as it is today, you know, from that particular accident. It's quite a huge one. You need to have be brave enough to watch this. He says that was at the hospital. They didn't tell him that the wife, the child, and the brother have all died. It was after, when he was being discharged, when psychologists came to him and worked on him to understand what was happening. He says they only paid his medical bills, but he has not received anything like compensation. And because of lack of funds, he's not able to go for reviews, and that is affecting him. Well, let me speak to other survivors or victims of this. No, stay with me. Don't go. Still stay with me, sir. How are you doing, sir?
Fine.
Do you also recall what you were doing that day and what happened?
Okay. I'm a father of a disease. Okay. That very fateful, that very sad Wednesday, I was at work and the rain started. It rained in the morning, and in the evening it started again. And my son is also going to work. So
he was going to work that evening.
He's going to work that very day. So I was there. It was raining heavily, and my wife too, and is in the market. So, in fact, I'm willing to come and see them because I know where they are. It's very, very distant. I couldn't come. The next morning, I had a call from my wife that the water has taken my son away. So my son, he didn't burn, but he was drowned. Yes, by the water.
So you didn't see the body?
We saw the body later. The following day, volunteers came and we took them to the 37 military hospital, police hospital. So from there, I buried my son. Yeah.
How old was he?
He was only 5 years. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's still speak to other, victims or survivors of this disaster. You're still watching the Citizen microphone on the AM show on Joy News. 7 years on after this twin disaster. What happened, Chief? Thank you. Are you a victim yourself of that?
I'm a victim.
Do you recall what you were doing and what exactly happened?
That June 3rd, no, I was in filling station here. The time, I'm 11:15, and I'm being free that side and about filling station animal. I'm baby do hanon no. Na insuo ne patru no. From bank na nim obani nyina na insuo ne patru no. Edi afra ho no mo. Ntu na mu a ubodi ni nyina hyehye wote se de edmako adono. Nti me begina inside na nipa wa na cars wo inside ya no mo. Nti begina ha no na me wo machine na pompe patru no ho. Na ga bi gina ho no na afi na mo afa ga no na me so. Ene me wa kiri anu ma nsuo ni gya na me do ye den. Nti data nipa wa hanum na yesre nti yegina ho no ma yedi nkomo na na yemete se fire nti ye pie free inside hanum akọ pavement so akọ heba bi egya ni free ba minwa na omo ye fire no that building na e wo ho no omo abu agu no na omo wo soro na ye fire nti na egya ni free this side na eba within short time no ene egya no be kan ye hye ha nti wudi ti wura nsu no ma be pagya bia no na egya da mu nti mani so time no na me wo hospital. Me hospital na me kwen 4 days time bia na mani so ntem mani so tem na me bisa se de na mo si oja na me so no problem nti that very day de manya na hongro so
so ka so de oti wura nsuo na sa de na eja ni ntina de oti wura nsuo na sa
na because that time patru no nsuo nani nti o doje se patru no be opia obi pie bia na eja no da so ye den ewo be nka nsuo eja ehye na odi nsuo dum na edum be we de eja no ni nsuo ni nyina na e operate that very day no nti that very day no yo ho hwea na enye den enye yi.
Interesting. I mean, his narration is that on that day he came to the side with some group of people, but they saw that there were petrol, on the surface of the water. So they came to stand by some pumps here at the filling station where we're standing, and then all of a sudden they had fire from a neighboring house. By the time they realized, the whole place was up in flames, and whatever you did, you could not swerve the fire. So. Along the line, when he became conscious, he saw himself in a hospital, 37. When he asked, I think it had been 4 days since he'd been in the hospital, and that is it. So, into one know him for a sheshe.
Pacho, means manimuna, baby, I don't know, me show picture and chiro me phone so. And now me will picture manimu meto, me pray pa.
Na mumu ba ko kask compensation bia ma ono nsan kan compensation between ho wo so ka odia
me pacho omumma obi bia compensation me pacho me ye June 3rd victim chairman ya ye prayer ni na me na me da no omumma obi a mpatesika e friend compensation me nhunu bi ba bia because sikana omo kaso omo de ma ye compensation no ye 2015 na case ni see ye no omo ye ne into 2 groups survivors no ho na omo lost to family no e wo honom enti omo ma obi a or lost to any family 10,000 Ghana cedi which is 100 million so omo fancy ni family no na mrepamu no aban be hwe na wa ma empatasika enti ya na ye survive no that time krofo omo yi omo no na ye yi free hospital aban na nsan ntua ho sika bieu nti sika na omo de ama ye 10,000 na de be hwe ho yade kopenso ho beto ansa na ban na hwe na wa ma empatasika be no kra no nipa meftimi aka se omo praye no omo wu ye na nya mo na de si omo family bebre nya bia nsi omo family be oya ye survivors no nipa metimi aka se be 16 people and etimi nya bi enso de ba fie be hwe omo ho yade menu ayo gina wa friend Cousins large no omo ye no operation omo be 19 times 20 yeah last one ye 2020 ya I was there no mo ye no operation ono say sika bia ni ho obeso sa nipa no up to now ye nkrofo no bi wo muntimi mpie ma outside said ye ohun ye said ye gina outside no nti problems de mo ho 2017 na Beni president be ready $200,000 se case DC 2015 na ho boa nso nti 2017 no na ho boa so ye na obi ready $200,000 so mo fan support victims for sika no kodi adman premp of nadmo boss 2018 ye ko ho 2019 ye ko ho on the 29th of June and as sika no mu release e de ma ye say ene ya 2015 no mo obi nim sika so mo fam si o mo family e no mo bi ye hospital no say bia ye ba bi bia da say ana obi bi odi apeba bi wahwe ho ya de kopen so ho beto ansa na aban na ma won patasika ba aban na kasa ma obi bi ahwe e Benin president be release that $200,000.
So what he is adding on to what Suraj told us is that yes, nobody has been giving any compensation. That when the incidents happened, government gave 10,000 cedis to families that had lost, relatives, and for them as victims, nobody has given any compensation. It was in 2017 that the president of Benin brought some $200,000 to be given to them. Even that money, they got it in 2019, and it is not the compensation that they are asking for. That money was from a benevolent individual, the president of Benin. So they are still asking government to pay these compensations to them. If you see them, it tells of people who are in a situation that government needs to attend to them and give them the compensations they are looking for. Their stories are very, very sad ones. It's quite sad speaking to them, but that has been the Citizen Microphone from Circle today. Share your thought with us here on the AM show on Joy News on our social media platforms, and we will share that with the rest.
Well, quite a bit of a development there. How many years on? 7. Since that ghastly June 3rd incident. I don't know whether you saw when the gentleman took off his cap and was showing us. That made my heart.
Yep. It's really sad. I mean, but like we said, have we learned from our lessons? This morning,
should I answer the question?
On the 6 a.m. news on Joy FM, we had a story about this, and a head of settlement studies at the KNUST, mentioned that we need to do more to avert this. But we'll be speaking to a senior forecaster, right?
Yep, we shall. Joshua Asamoah, the senior forecaster, and he'll be telling us a bit about what to expect, because in recent times we've seen that, we've had the rains come every now and then, maybe not as bad as we would have expected or it could have been, but sometimes when it rains for just a few hours, what we see is nothing to write home about. So we're going to interact with Joshua to give us some scope to what we can expect in the coming days, especially as within the last few hours we've got dynamics about what the weather patterns are like from other countries, neighboring countries into Ghana. Mr. Asamoah, very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation. Never a good sound to hear. It appears we've lost Mr. Asamoah, but we'll try to get him back. So we'll be asking the relevant questions about what we can expect moving forward as far as the rain is concerned. What can we expect in the next few hours? What can we expect over the weekend leading into next week? We'll get details of that. And of course, if you followed what has happened in recent times when it comes to the rains, it rains for a few hours and many places are flooded, from Kaneshi to Lagos. If you use the Okponglo stretch, you would notice that place usually gets flooded. If you're not careful, water could enter your engine, and you know how problematic that could be. You go forward towards the Ghana Standards Authority area, Gulf House, that's another area. You go towards Kaneshi, like I mentioned earlier, and many other pockets of the capital city and other parts of the country as well. So what can we expect? That is the key, issue to look at. What can we expect now and in the coming hours and the coming days, so that at least we can anticipate the rain and prepare in a way? That is a conversation we're having up next. We'll shortly be joined by Joshua Asamoah, senior forecaster. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much for staying on the AM show. Now, if you know me, you know that I love sports. So I'm going to be having a conversation about Arthur Legacy Sports. Well, together with the Italian Embassy and the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the Ghana Football Association, they present Calcio Trade Ball 2022. I'm sure you want to know what it's all about. Well, I've got Michael Odro. He's Director of Communications for Calcio Trade Ball, CTB 2022. I know, don't worry about the designation. We decided to call you that. You're welcome. You're welcome to the AM show.
Thank you.
Hope you're doing good.
I'm well by grace.
Lovely jersey you've got there.
Yeah.
Supporting the Black Stars.
Sure.
Before we go, let me just ask you what you think of their performance against Madagascar.
Yeah, I think it's work in progress, and I'm excited about the significant improvement under the current crop of coaches. We saw the team play so well against Nigeria. That was a playoff, so they didn't play too much of a beautiful football, but the most important thing was getting the team to qualify for the World Cup, which they did. We saw an improved performance against Madagascar. One would say it is only Madagascar, yes, but even at the Africa Cup of Nations, we lost to Comoros, where debutant at the Africa's flagship football tournament. So we cannot discredit the team's performance on the basis of the opponent. I think that they've done well, they've given us hope, and given the period between now and November, I think Coach Otoado, Masoud Didi Dramani, George Boateng, and Chris Hughton will build a squad that will make Ghana proud at the World Cup. Yeah,
I'll be looking forward to talking to you after our next game. So let's see if we're able to live up to your expectations as a team. But let's talk about CTB 2022. Yeah. Tell us what it's all about. I'm told it's the biggest corporate football event.
Yeah, sure.
In 2019, you had it, right? But you couldn't do it in 2020 because of COVID.
Yes, the CTB started 5 years ago. When Arthur Legacy, a sports management consultancy firm, realized the gap between the football industry and the embassies, because a lot of our young footballers aspire to play football outside of this country. And so it was important to, at the time, build a very cordial relationship between the embassies and also use football as a driving tool to get the Italian companies here in Ghana contribute their quota to developing the sport. And it started with the Italian embassy and the Italian companies, because Arthur Legacy has mainly been operating in Europe, but with much focus on Italy. About 70% of his talents play football in Italy. So we thought of starting with the Italian embassy and then Italian companies. So that's why we have the Calcio Trade Ball. Calcio in Italia is football, and then trade. That's the coming together of the Italian industries here in Ghana. And over the years, it's been very successful, except that it's only been about awards and a dinner night where people from the football industry, the Italian companies, and then also the Italian embassy here in Ghana come together to have conversations around developing the sport. We eat, we drink, and then we award deserving Ghanaian footballers who play football in Italy. Like you said, after 2019, we could not have it in 2020 and 2021 as a result of COVID-19. And so we thought that if there's been a 2-year break and we are coming back, certainly it should be better. We cannot continue to do things the way we did in the past. And so this time is a 3-phased event. We have a seminar which happens on the 16th of June at Kempinski. And then on the 17th of June is the big guest of the event. That's the Calcio Trade Ball All-Stars game. And then the 18th of June will be the climax of the Calcio Trade Ball celebration, which will be the dinner and the awards night.
So you mentioned an all-stars game. Yeah. Who are the stars we should expect?
There are a number of stars that will be coming. You know, the Black Stars, now Ghanaians seem to be getting their love back for the Black Stars on the back of that splendid performance against Nigeria, and even just 2 days ago. And it is important that we celebrate the Stars qualification for the World Cup. A number of the players, upon hearing that we're going to have CTB this year, spoke to us that for about 4 years now, they've not had the opportunity to play in the capital. All the games are played either in Cape Coast or in Kumasi. So they thought that there should be an opportunity to celebrate with the fans. So we should give them a match as part of the Calcio Trade Ball here in Accra. So we get to celebrate their World Cup qualification and for them to also have the opportunity to mingle with the fans through photo sessions, autograph and all of that. And then the fans also get to interact with them. A lot of the time they feel when they meet the fans, the way they tell them where they fall short it's different from how they do it if they have to speak on TV and on radio. They are sometimes a bit aggressive on using the media, but when it's in person, they're able to connect with them well. So we have the kind crop of Black Stars players. Felix Afenejan, the latest sensation, is part of the team. Captain Andre Ayew, Jordan Ayew will be playing. Mubarak Wakasu will play in that game. Daniel Amate would also feature in the game. All the kind crop of players who qualified the team for the World Cup will feature in the game. And then also we would have a number of Ghanaian players who have played football in Italy together with their friends, top stars from the English Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, the Italian Calcio Serie A. Victor Osimhen is Africa's most expensive player. He would travel down from Nigeria to play in this game. We would have other players who have played in Italy like Kujua Samoa, Efri Yakwa, Richmond Boachi Yadom, Alfred Jojo Duncan. All these guys are going to be in the squad, and it's going to be a competitive game. This is not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be.
So help us understand. So the Black Stars will be playing against
the CTB All-Star team.
Okay, yes, which so includes the
Kujua Samoa, the Fiyakwa, the Victor Osimhen, and then the other players will be coming from Europe. So the Black Stars one side, the kind Black Stars one side, and then the CTB Stars want to show them that yes, they are not out yet, so they will play against.
That sounds really exciting.
Yes,
so how do we become a part of this?
Yes, we are launching as part of the dinner and awards night. We will launch a corporate social responsibility project. Government is doing a lot in terms of sporting infrastructure, but we feel that the corporate sector and then the individuals with the financial muscle must also support government because they can't do it all. So we're launching a corporate social responsibility project which is aimed at improving sporting infrastructure. And so we'll sell tickets for the match, and we're making it very convenient for people to buy tickets at the comfort of their homes, their offices, or wherever they are. So we have a WhatsApp number where they can just text #00# and to WhatsApp number 0242 426427 0242 426427. You just send #00# and then there is a prompt that will come and then you follow it. And without WhatsApp, you can also use the USSD code *713 *33 *00# *713 *33 *00#, and then they get to purchase a ticket at the comfort of wherever they find themselves. But there's also a seminar which I'd like to touch on a bit. You know that people are very desperate to play football outside of this country, and there are some people that take advantage of the desperation of the people to exploit them. A lot of the time you hear people selling forms to play, justify and send players abroad. Some do not even end up at the Kotoka International Airport. Some get outside of this country and it is a talent. The people have not got the right connect and the right opportunities for them. I remember somewhere last year when the government of Ghana had to charter a plane to bring down over 30 players from Thailand because an agent has sent them there in the name of getting them class, but was never true. And people fall prey to some of these things because they don't have foreknowledge on this. So we're organizing a seminar where we're bringing down top sporting directors from major European clubs. Oliver Atta himself, the CEO of Atta Legacy Sports Consult, is a well-renowned football agent. And then we're bringing together officials from the sports ministry, the Ghana Football Association, and then we educate the public, parents, young football talent, football managers, so that they can be able to tell the good agents from the bad ones, and then we stop the exploitation. So the theme for the seminar is Stop the Exploitation, Save Football.
I love that because I know there are a lot of young people out there. Some of them are actually taking to countries outside of Africa, you know, to Europe specifically, and are abandoned. Some of them are abandoned.
It happens a lot, and you know, when people become desperate, there are some that would want to take advantage of their desperation. But we've got to put in conscious efforts to stop some of these things. And we think the first and foremost thing is providing the people with training, knowledge. When they have knowledge and they can tell the difference between a good and a bad agent, I'm sure that they will all be on the guard and will not fall prey to some of these people.
Okay, so the date for the CTB event is on the 17th?
Yes, that's the All-Star game at the Accra Sports Stadium. The seminar is at the Kempinski Hotel on the 16th of June at 8 a.m. The All-Star Game is an evening event, 5 p.m. at the Accra Sports Stadium on the 17th, and then the 18th at the Kempinski Hotel is the dinner and awards night. Please,
I'll be buying my ticket because I want to see that All-Star.
You have to be there.
Yeah. I really love football. I was just discussing with someone that I think I've been to the stadium once.
Okay.
And it was to see a Black Stars game in Kumasi.
Wow.
And unfortunately, it rained that day, so it wasn't such a pleasant experience. But I would love to
if you are coming to watch the game, then I'm personally getting you a Black Stars jersey. So you come.
Yay! Thank you so much. I would love to be there. And thank you for helping us in developing football here in Ghana. It brings revenue. And I mean, we can talk about the benefits of football to Ghana. Yeah, enormous. Yes, thank you so much. And
thank you for having
we've been having this conversation. Michael Odro speaks for CTB 2022. And don't forget that All-Stars game. Yes, Koja Samoa, I'm interested in seeing him play again. Yeah, I want to see him play again. And then it will be exciting. And also, don't forget, you'll be contributing because like Michael said, funds raised from the sales of the ticket will be used in meeting some infrastructure demands for football here in Ghana. You're watching the AM show. We'll be back shortly. That's when you get to have your say on the issues we've been discussing this day.
Welcome back on the AM show. Now, between now and the close of the show, we're going to be focusing on you and your thoughts. So we've gone out there, we've reflected on what happened this day 7 years ago. Have we learned any lessons from the June 3rd, 2015 incident? We've interacted with some of the victims. What do you think, especially as the Rains are here with us again? Also, today we've been talking about the Office of the Special Prosecutor and some things that are not going according to plan. The board, we know the members, but the constitution hasn't happened in its full sense of the word. It has not been commissioned legally. We've also looked at the issue of Sir John and his assets being frozen by the Special Prosecutor and an attempt to do same overseas, abroad. What are your thoughts? Just call that number at the bottom of your screens, 0302 211 691 extension 2. Call and let's have a conversation on these matters. And it's a Friday. Other matters that are pertinent to you as well. Just call that number, 0302 211 691 extension 2. We're having a conversation from there. Earlier, we saw a number of comments coming through from you on our social media feed. Some of you were commenting on these matters. When it's possible to do so, we'll get to your messages. But for now, pick up your phone and give us a buzz on that number, 0302 211 691 extension 2. We await hearing from you. And okay, so we have our first caller, Abenda. Did I get your name correctly?
Oh yeah, Abendao.
Abendao. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Kumasi.
Okay. Abendao in Kumasi, which of the issues are you going to be tackling this morning?
Yeah, I wanted to comment on the flogging of the sex tape people.
The what? I'm struggling to hear you a bit.
The flogging of people who came out with the sex tape in war.
I'm not getting you clearly. I don't know what it is, but I can't get you clearly.
Okay, let me comment on the special prosecutor issue hello?
Yes, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah. A problem has come and the special prosecutor is tackling it. But what are some of the measures that they have put in place to make sure that they check political office holders so that issues of this nature may not pop up in the future, because most of the times we are interested in handling a problem, but we are not pragmatic enough to put measures in place to make sure that we prevent things of this nature. So are you also tackling it in this way, or we also have some measures put in place to make sure that they don't occur at all? Thanks.
Well, I also heard you, Abendal. You wanted to talk about the WAF logging. Is that it? Okay, it appears we've lost Abendal, but he was sharing his thoughts there on basically the Office of the Special Prosecutor and how to tackle corruption. We had some interesting thoughts earlier from Vitas Azim, who was also saying that if we want to put in place the right mechanisms, it could even start as early as the vetting processes in Parliament. We have another caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
Please, my name is Jerry. I'm calling from Dansuman.
Your name is what?
Jerry.
Jerry from Dansuman. All right.
Yes.
Please go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay, this is actually my first time of ever calling into a show.
Wow.
With this special prosecutor thing, I think it's just a gimmick. We all know it's a lie. We have people who are alive who have made more properties than Sir John, and there's nothing being done to them. So they are just deceiving us with this Sir John property being whatever. It's all a lie. I know it's all a lie. They just call family members. This is what you are going to put out. You just relax. The things will be given back to you later, and it will be the end.
So that's how you feel. You feel this is just some sort of charade, basically.
Yes. I actually even know even security bodyguards to politicians who have acquired more wealth than Sir John. We know them. We know the corrupt people in this country. They are spoiling the country. We know them. Corruption is seriously killing this country. They should do something about it. And they should leave us with this Sir John, whatever. It's all a lie. You know it's a lie. You and I know it's a lie. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you too, Jerry, for sharing your thoughts. So Jerry is a bit pessimistic about all of this. He feels basically that's what he's saying. But we have Buesiako joining the conversation. Good morning, Buesiako. Hello? Do we have Buesiako on the line? All right, you can call 0302.
Hello.
Yes, is that Buesiako?
Yes, sir.
Okay. A very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation. What thoughts do you have to share with us this morning?
Okay, I'm talking generally on the chaos concerning maybe...
Concerning what?
Concerning the terrorist attack, the whatever related matters facing the nation at the moment. I believe that we all understand that the English language identity on the land isn't our natural identity. And we can never manage our own affairs with someone's identity, which we do not understand in truth.
Right.
So the President of the Republic is searching for people who have this specific knowledge, who understand the English language in roots and its origin. Therefore, on the 24th of April 2020, when he met with GIBA and GJA concerning the accurate COVID-19 media reportage, he made a statement that they should allow the scientists to do the talking. The scientists, as in SIGNTIST, not the lab scientists, as we all know. So my team and I have already given the solution.
I'm struggling to get where you're going with this. I'm struggling to get the connection.
Okay. What I'm trying to put across is,
right,
whatever that is happening on the nation right now is the cause of the English language spell.
Is the cause of the English language?
Yeah.
How so?
Because, as I already told you, you can never manage an affair with a language which you do not understand. we assume to understand the English language in roots, but frankly speaking, we do not understand the languages. Example, what is the meaning of one? What is the meaning of two? Who designed it? What is its origin? These are all root things that we must be able to understand. Because looking at when our finance minister was speaking on the 25 million budget they gave out to the cathedral. Cathedral, first of all, it's a language before it was represented by an entity.
Okay, Boisiako, we're grateful that you've taken the time to call. Unfortunately, it's not too clear where you're going with all of this. I mean, even in English, the numerals, you can trace it back to Arabic and all of that, so it was difficult. I just couldn't get the thrust of what you were saying. But we have Abdullah on the line. Hello, Abdullah. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thanks for calling. So just to situate the conversation, we're talking mainly, unless you have another pertinent issue, we're talking mainly about the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Please hold on. Please listen to me on phone, not via your TV. The work of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the failure to set up a board, Sir John's assets, and matters arising.
We want to appeal for the special prosecutor to investigate this, our health ministry, for the staff there collecting money from some particular nurses, posting them while their seniors are sitting at home.
Do you have any evidence to back that claim?
Hello?
Do you have any evidence, Abdullah, to back that claim?
Yes. Some of my colleagues they had posted, and my seniors are still sitting down. My badmates, some of them, they pay money to the ministry. And they post this, my badmate, but our seniors are still sitting. I completed 2020 community health nursing. And my badmates, some of them, they had that this. So they should investigate the ministry for such corruption.
Thank you, Abdullah, for sharing your thoughts. On to the next caller, but you can call 0302 211 691 extension 2. 0302 211 691 extension 2. Call and let us have your thoughts. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Please speak up a bit for me. Your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Dawood, calling from the Upper West.
All right. Where in the Upper West?
Wa.
All right. Dawood, what are your thoughts for us this morning?
On Sir John's issue. What I have to say is that just like the TPA boss issue, you realize that his assets were frozen. But later we all got to hear that the money was removed from his accounts. How did it happen? So what's the guarantee that this very issue is not going to be the same too? So please, our leaders should sit up and then do what is best for the country. Secondly,
but even before you make your second point, so are you saying that what the special prosecutor has started, freezing the assets of Sir John and also targeting those abroad, you have no faith in that?
I have no faith unless everything at least plays out the right way. For now, I have no faith.
Okay. Your second issue?
My second issue is that, please, it's an appeal. Some of our panelists that we bring in for some of these discussions, let's always try to get those that are much matured so that at least we will all get to understand the issues. Otherwise, sometimes you hear, analysis from some of them and you feel like just turning off your television set. So that is just the other appeal I have.
But when you say maturity, what exactly do you mean? Today, for example, the caliber of people we've had joining us for the conversation, you have anti-graft campaigners who have been in the system for a long time. You have lawyers and all of that. So what exactly do you mean?
Exactly. For today, we haven't had any. We haven't had any. I think for the past week, we haven't had any. But there are times we do have some of them that come in, and then at least we have problems with that.
All right, thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. We're constantly refining the process to ensure we serve you the very best, which is what we stand for. This is our identity. So thank you for the feedback. We appreciate it, and we shall keep at it. You can also call that number 0302-211-691 extension 2. Let us know what your thoughts are. The OSP not having a board among matters arising. We have a caller on the line. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Hafiz, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ashaiman.
Ashaiman, good to connect with you. Hafiz, what are your thoughts?
Well, I want to touch on the special prosecutor thing. You know, in Ghana, our problem here is that this winners take all. You know, the president has to appoint everything in this country. So let's say the president has appointed the special prosecutor, and then it's keep for the whole nation. But then in reality, it's working for the party, because if let's say any of the appointed political officers are corrupt, he can't do anything good.
Right.
He only lied to the country, or like that. This is what he's going to do. This is what he's going to do. At the end of the day, you not know what happened. Nothing will come out good. You see, so I think the country, our constitution should be amended to at least, you know, the president appointing the IGP, appointing the Auditor General, appointing the Attorney General. It's very bad. There are institutions in the country. So let's say they have their board of directors and everything.
Right.
So when they need someone to head the institution, they sit down and then they appoint the good person, the one who's good for the job.
Right.
But here lies the case, Ghana, the winner or the president appoints everything. So they work for the president. In order to fight corruption, these things must be dealt with.
All right, they must be dealt with. Thank you very much for the call. We have Ben from Kintampo. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your thoughts, please, on the matters we've been discussing this morning. It appears we've lost Ben. Hello? All right, so right before we wrap the show, I have to do this. A very big thank you to Catherine Gordon. She has left me looking this sumptuous, this delectable this morning. Shouts to Catherine Gordon of Catherine Garments. You can reach out to her at around Medina New Road, around the Rolling Circle. On Instagram, she's at Catherine_Garments. On Facebook, Catherine Garments GH. And if you'd like to give her a buzz, 0277 58 0050. 0277 58 0050. But we know water is life. It regulates your body temperature. It keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for every occasion. 330 and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. We have introduced our special 19-liter jars for offices and homes as well. Now, you just need to stay awake with Awake purified drinking water wherever you go. Come on, grab a bottle of Awake water and get quality hydration. Awake purified drinking water, one for life. Now remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It's produced by Casapreco. For bulk purchases, just call 0262 351 251. Now, especially as a young entrepreneur, did you know that your income from some selected businesses is exempt from tax for 5 years? Any young entrepreneur engaged in manufacturing, information and communications technology, agro-processing, energy production, waste processing, tourism and the creative arts, horticulture and medicinal plants does not need to pay any income tax on these activities for their first 5 years of operation. A young entrepreneur engaged in a business that enjoys an initial 5-year concession benefits from the following applicable tax rates for an additional 5 years. Here we go. Accra and Tema, 15%. Other regional capitals outside the 3 northern regions, you enjoy 12.5%. Outside the other regional capitals, it stands at 10%. And for the 3 northern regions, it is pegged at 5%. For further clarity, just contact your nearest GRA office. Ghana Revenue Authority, integrity, fairness, and service. And just so you know, the same income, asset, or financial transaction could be taxed by 2 or more jurisdictions. This is known as double taxation. Now, double taxation treaties, or DTTs, always allow income recipients to offset the tax already paid on investment income in another country against their tax liability in their country of residence. Well, to wrap, let's offer you the very best of progressive and flexible ways of owning your home in Ghana. Interested? Rent to own a 2, 3, or 4-bedroom house or beachfront villa in the new Accra city. Cities and habitats, rent to own at a price you can afford and at a pace you can pay. All you need to do, go to the website www.newaccra, that is N-E-W, accra.city for more details, or call or WhatsApp 0555 530 300 or 0577 911 101 or 0557 054 635. The Planned Cities Extension Project, shaping Ghana's urban future. And hopefully, we shaped your day, starting it off on a good note. From Bernice Abubeidu, Lanza, and we say have a wonderful day. Don't you forget, News Desk is up next at 10 o'clock. You'll be seeing a familiar face, trust me. And at noon as well, we have Joy News today. Have a fantastic weekend.